back to Las Vegas. It is time for the PGT Kickoff 2024. The new season is finally here. We are excited to bring you coverage of the first 5 events of what will be a year-long calendar of high-stakes events. Today we are starting with a 5K no-win hold'em. It's going to be one heck of a final table as we have the likes of Jeremy Ausmus in the mix, as well as the guy on the right there, Mr. Stephen Chidwick. My name is Remko. My Donnie will be alongside me for coverage of today's final table. If you're with us on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as we look at our chip counts here. David Coleman is the chip leader, Stephen Chidwick second in chips, and Viktor Ustimov are short stack. 89 total players enter this event, creating a really sweet prize pool as we look at the payouts. 13 drop to 8, $120,000 on top, $17,000 guaranteed for the final 7. So let's see if we can ladder up and get some money and some points. Good to know, by the way, that the Kickoff Series offers double points for the buy-in level, so a little bit of a twist there. So we're earning points as if this is a 10K buy-in event. Waiting here for the first hand to kick off. Blinds are going to be 20K, 40K with a 40K big blind ante. Coleman coming in with 56 big blinds, tied with Chidwick, basically. Action on Jeremy Ausmus with King 10 offsuit. He's going to throw it in the muck. Aram Zobian sporting the most creative headwear at this final table. People are saying that they can't hear me. Music was way too loud. Didn't have the intro. A bunch of this stuff going on with audio right now. Zobian raising it up to 90,000 on the button. Queen 6 of hearts. And there's our first look at our chip leader, David Coleman. Going to make the call. We have ace, queen, 4 on the flop. Coleman with 7-5 off. He's going to probably not continue on this flop. Hope that the audio is better now. Let us know in the chat if everything is sounding correct. Aram Zobian is going to take this one down. He needs it too. He's one of the shorter stacks, but still with 31 big blinds has plenty of room to play. Thanks everyone, by the way, for tuning into the chat. Shout out to Anton, who is part of our Rail, one of our YouTube membership programs. Very much appreciated. Chidwick, ace-3 of diamonds. Beautiful hand to get going with here, making it 90K. Here's a player we might not be too familiar with if you're tuning in for the first time. Clemen Deng at this final table. We'll give you some more insights on him. Deng is going to 3-bet to 280K. Action back on Chidwick. He, of course, no stranger to this room. Made final tables during our last chance series. Also made quite a run in our championship. ultimately fell short of the final table. Clemen Deng, just shy of a in-career tournament earnings, 64 total cashes from Portland, Oregon.
All in.
Oh, and Chidwick fights back, moves all in with ace-3 suited, and Deng immediately gives this one up. Interesting little tidbit about Clemen Deng. He says his first job after college was interning for Google in Montreal, Canada, where he helped create graphics for Google Chrome. So this sounds like someone who can always go back to a career in software, I guess, if poker doesn't work out for him. A few quick folds here. Action on Coleman on the button with ace-deuce offsuit. Coleman comes in for a raise. Sounds like 90,000. There it is. Kalinin, another player that we still have to get to know a little bit, but he's made it to this final table, so he's got some chops, I'm sure.
360,000.
76 total live tournament results from Russia. Has himself listed as a professional poker player, and very professionally he 3-bets here from the small blind and takes this one down. '49ers fan in the chat says, besides Chidwick and Ausmus, I don't notice many noticeable regs. Am I wrong? Well, David Coleman has been around. He's been playing in many of our events. Aram Zobian is a former WSOP main event finalist. The other three players, Kalinin, Deng, and Ustimov, maybe not too well known, but all have a very respectable list of results. And I would say we cannot underestimate their play here at this final table. Looking back at yesterday's day one coverage, all the stars were out basically, which is really cool to see. So the second event of this kickoff series kicks off today. And that 5K will be headlined, I want to say, by Arden Cho, who came so close to winning our PGT championship. And I guess the poker bug really caught her as she's playing in today's 5K no limit event. A few names that fell just short of yesterday or of today's final table late last night: Ryan Reese, Eric Baldwin, Johan Gilbert, Mr. Yo Viral, also in the house, Kristen Foxen, Jesse Lonis, bracelet winner at the WSOP in 2023. Mr. Lucky Chewy was in the house, Shannon Shore, Alex Foxen played, David Peters, Justin Young, Eric Seidel, Maria Ho, Dylan Lindy. So basically a who's who of the international and American, I'd say, poker scene is in the mix here at the studio. Zobian raised before the flop to 95K. Chidwick came along from the big blinds. Not the flop he was looking for with 4 deuce, and he's going to kick it in, giving this one up to Zobian. If you're in the chat with us, please let us know who you're rooting for. I can imagine there's lots of Ausmus and Chidwick fans in the chat. Those guys, of course, have proven themselves over many, many years on the felt, and they're sitting side by side today, so hopefully we'll see some clashes between these two. Scott Coles in the chat says, still bummed Cho didn't win. Yeah, let's look back a little bit on that PGT Championship. How did you guys feel about the final table action? Arden Cho really brought a fun, exciting personality to the table that we don't get to see every single time we have a high roller final table. At the same time, the level of play was high. There was a lot of fun hands that we saw, and she fell just short. So I'm wondering if you guys were rooting for Arden Cho at that final table, as we see Jeremy Ausmus with kings here raising it up. Look at that beautiful man. Jeremy Ausmus trying to start off the year strong with some points in the race for the leaderboard. If you go to PGT.com and check out our leaderboard, you'll be able to track the PGT standings all throughout the year. Right now we still have last year's standings up, so you can see who did well in this one. And Jeremy Ausmus finished 10th in the overall standings. Mr. Stephen Chidwick got 3rd. So we have 2 from the top 10 in the mix here today.
$135. 135.
Zobian takes this one, and he's by far the most active player here in the early goings, already winning 3 hands of these first 6. Zobian chipping up nicely.
We gotta find a new guy to draw. Nonsense.
Okay. $80,000.
Ausmus raising it up with King Jack offsuit. Ustimov in the big blinds. It's going to come along here.
Call. Heads up.
King Queen 5, Ausmus with top pair, Ustimov with just a pair of 5s. No backdoor draws to speak of there for Ustimov.
$50,000.
Ausmus continues here for 50K. Very curious to think about how a new player like Ustimov is going to approach this. Playing against someone he's probably watched a ton on live streams in the past. Ausmus, of course, takes this one down, as Ustimov did not have a ton to fight back with. Going through the chat again, a lot of people were rooting for Arden Cho. Man of Straw is asking, is this an open event or invite only? Every single event in the PokerGO studio is open to everyone except for the championship, and I think twice a year we do an invite-only event. The past year that was the Storm X Invitational and the Enclave Celebrity event. So yes, if you see a stream you can almost guarantee that you are allowed to play in it. So I think, Donnie, that's a bit of a misconception that people think that the PokerGO studio is a place where you have to know someone, you got to know the secret knock or the password to get into the door.
No, you just you have to have the money. That's it.
I guess they didn't turn Donnie's mic on yet. Chidwick here, raising it up to 100K with pocket aces. Eights here for Stephen Chidwick. He's going to come in for a raise again. By the way, blinds now up. We were playing 20K, 40K. Now 25, 50. Donnie, I think you're back.
Am I back?
Yes,
Oh,
there
I
it is.
sound back. I sound back.
Yeah. So back to my my question, or I guess the thing that I proposed to you is, some people have the idea that the studio is this exclusive place where you're not allowed to play.
It is fairly exclusive. That said, you just need the money. Okay, you can walk through those doors during our hours of operation. If there's a tournament running, usually open around 11 a.m. that day. We'll be here all day until that tournament ends. Yeah, anyone with the buy-in can come play these PGT events that are held inside the studio. It's not, some sacred holy land that you can only come in if you're invited. No.
It is the sacred Holy Land.
It is the sacred holy land. Okay.
But the only currency required is U.S. dollars.
Yes, that is true.
David Coleman here, ace king offsuit on the button, is going to come in for the raise.
I mean, as you've said many times, there's a bar out in the main entryway that people can come hang out at. There's multiple TV monitors out there that are often playing sports or the live stream that's running. So yeah, come on in, say hello. There's a PokerGO shop vending machine you can grab some merch from. There's a lot of stuff you can do there. Maybe you catch your favorite player, a Daniel Legrand, Phil Hellmuth walking around, grab a quick pick, an autograph. And you can't miss it. It's the giant wall of golden cards that says PokerGO Studio on the outside of it. So,
yes, it is very hard to miss. By the way, a lot of people also taking photos outside the studio. It's a place where tourists even take some photos, and I've seen it end up.
And they write love messages on the cards.
On the cards, yeah, I've seen
It's
that.
very weird.
It is very weird.
Multiple times we've walked into the studio, someone on our team, and there's been a paragraph love letter made out. I think the latest one was made out to like Susan or something.
Well,
it's very special.
Susan, if you hear this, hope everything is going well.
I don't know if you know this, Remko, but Tim Duckworth and I did an episode of the PokerGO podcast yesterday morning, and
I have not gotten caught up yet.
I picked David Coleman to be the breakout player of the year on the PGT, and he's started hot. And in terms of winning PGT Player of the Year, I picked Jeremy Ausmus. So I feel like I'm running hot right now. I mean, both of them are at this final table.
Well done by you. Of course, we've got a long season ahead of us, filled with PGT events. Donnie, this is just the kickoff, but we're going straight into the Cup, and then we have all our regular events later on in the spring as well. I think we're going to do mixed games again. We're going to have the US Poker Open. So tons of moments for the players to get points.
Yeah, we're anticipating announcing some new events next week. So stay tuned to the various PGT channels on social media, etc. for those announcements. Won't spill the beans too much, but we are in the final proceedings of, getting everything locked into place so that we can announce it, both for the players and, and for the fans, the viewers out there who want to tune in. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're streaming some mixed game stuff.
Oh,
I mean, you and I, we love the mixed games, right?
400.
Oh, Ustimov with a bit of a fumble there, but I do believe he announced all in. Or at least close to it.
I said for 400, you said, right? Yeah.
400, so leave
Yeah.
you
Start the
20K
clock.
behind.
400.
All right, so 400 is a raise from Ustimov.
Okay.
That basically puts him all in. Just leaving himself with a few chips here as Coleman
40
finds
behind.
a real hand.
Yep.
Donnie, 9 bigs
One of those
from
blues is a
Ustimov,
short.
roughly. Pocket sevens. Are we getting involved here?
Yeah, I think it's fine for Coleman to make the call here. I'm not sure if I would rejam this.
Call.
Call.
Coleman does just go with the call. One of those hands where, like, you know, if somebody wakes up with a better hand behind you, I mean, you probably don't want to be in there battling with 2 sevens. And that raise is big enough from Ustimov to get everyone else out of the way. That's exactly what happens here. And I'm assuming this last 20K is going to go in on the flop no matter what.
Yeah, Viktor Ustimov is going to have his tournament life on the line. If my memory serves me right, he only needed, let's see, where is he at? Oh, here, Viktor
20 behind.
Ustimov. 89 total cashes, already 1.7 million in total earnings. So, you know, this won't be any sort of massive score for his poker resume. But of course, it'd be nice to start off 2024 with a big win. And in order to do so, he's going to need his ace-10 of spades to improve versus the sevens of Mr. Coleman. All right, here comes the flop. King 6-3, very nice and safe for Coleman. Backdoor spades, backdoor straights are possible.
50,000.
Coleman just going to put them all in here, make sure he gets all of this.
And Ustimov looking for an ace, a 10, or perhaps some backdoor options. A double up right now, Donnie, he would still be the shortest stack. That's how far behind he was compared to the rest of the field. But hey, you got to start with one double up and then take it from there. So Ustimov here, at risk, in danger of being sent to the rail. Still 7 players remaining here. Turn card, deuce of diamonds. That's not going to help. Now down to just 6 outs. An ace or a 10, or else Ustimov will be our 7th place finisher. River is the deuce of clubs, and that'll do it. Viktor Ustimov, our first casualty at today's final table. The Russian pro collects $17,800 for his efforts in this 5K buy-in event. And Daniel Coleman raking in a very, very nice pot,
King comes and you still just
vaulting
put the
him
guy all in.
towards the top of the standings.
Wild.
Next player out is going to receive $22,250.
Yeah, I know. What's he doing?
That way.
That's
900.
also,
You get
also
away.
golf with
Gotta
ace
get
high.
away. That's crazy.
1.5. Hopefully he's in the next tournament, huh?
Ausmus here coming in with the raise. 9-8 of diamonds. Very pretty hand. Chidwick with the ace-deuce of clubs in position. Button versus cutoff. I could see Chidwick kind of going either way here. Opting 3-bet, maybe opt the flattened position. There is the 3-bet option. Both blinds get out of the way. Ausmus elects to pass. And Chidwick takes that one to extend his chip lead a little bit, now up over 60 big blinds. The man, I guess, formerly known as Stevie444. Not sure he plays online a ton these days anymore. Maybe here and there on some GG Poker, maybe some of the big Poker Stars series, stuff like that. But with how often we see Stevie at all these live stops all over the world, I'm not sure he has any time to play online.
I'd feel really weird about Stephen should be playing online and not being called Stevie444. I really hope that he's stuck to that moniker.
Well, if he plays on GG Poker, he might be under the real name category, so just
Yeah.
says Stephen Chidwick.
I do think that's a good thing, though, especially with how big the buy-ins are.
Yeah, I mean, it should help with, you know, some of the issues that online poker is having these days. Should have to have your real name, should have to like have some sort of verification, you know, stuff like that. I think we're probably going to ultimately end up that way with the way everything's been going, especially to kick off this new year.
Well, it sort of reminds me a little bit of how the big online chess tournaments are, where you have to have your webcam on so that at least the organizers can see if anything crazy is going on.
Yeah.
By the way, not only on your face, but also a cam pointing towards your screen. I think that for the big buy-in online events, that might be the future.
240.
243 bet here from Deng. The former Google intern here trying to apply some pressure onto Stephen Chidwick. Oh, and Coleman finds aces in the big blind. We might see some serious fireworks here. This could be massive. Donnie, do jacks really shrivel up if you get action here from the big blind?
I mean, depending on what that action is, I'm guessing it's going to be a 4-bet. But yeah, I would think they would shrivel up a little bit. I mean, I don't think Deng's going to ultimately go anywhere. It's just too big of a hand. But when you are electing to 3-bet non-all-in here off, what do you start with, 17 big blinds at the start of this hand, 18 big blinds. So, I mean, you're already representing a ton of strength as is. So
460.
this is going to look very strong. This is a pretty small, going for value 4-bet here from Coleman makes it 460. I mean, if you're Deng here, I mean, you kind of just, you know, I mean, he didn't do it, but he threw up in his mouth. I mean,
right.
I mean, it's just
So, but like the question really is if you're in Coleman's shoes, how can you look as weak as possible? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. How can you make it believable that your range is not just aces and kings?
probably ripping it in.
Right.
You know, because then you have a lot of ace-kings, maybe some ace-queen suited, stuff like that.
Deng, 650 behind.
But if Coleman reads the situation where, you know, Deng has to be strong, 3-bet non-all-in off this stack size, then he can do this with aces, right? And, you know, kings, queens, jacks are likely just going to get the money in, and that's going to be the end
All
of it.
in.
There it is. Deng moves all in and gets snapped off. And Donnie, safe to assume Jack's sort of the worst hand to do this with at this point.
Yeah, I think Deng probably would have taken a different approach with tens. Jacks, maybe mix some shoves, some 3-bet non-all-in. Tens, you probably just straight rip. Queens, you can probably also just do a 3-bet.
The players at the table.
Folded. Definitely.
The players at the table
Folded.
happy to see someone else hit the rail if Deng's jacks don't hold up. Here comes the flop. 8-4 deuce, 2 diamonds. Okay. Diamonds still giving Deng a little bit more hope here potentially. Of course, we see the outs on the screen. Just 2 clean outs, but the backdoor diamond's still in play. Clemen Deng halfway out the door. King on the turn is going to reduce his outs to just those 2 jacks, jack of hearts, jack of clubs. And we know that Stephen Chidwick folded the jack of clubs, so really he is down to only 1 card, and it's not there for Clemen Deng. He gets eliminated in 6th place, and all of a sudden we are down to our final 5. Deng collects $22,250 for his efforts. More importantly, collects 45 points in the race for the PGT Championship. Donnie, we know that those 45 points can ultimately be decisive.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the payouts yesterday when they got announced, and then the points associated with those payouts. Normally in a 5K event for us, also in the 10Ks, they're 1-to-1. But this PGT kickoff, the double point, I mean, that's massive. 240 points up top. I mean, that's a huge boost to start the year. So you win one of these opening 5 events here at PGT Kickoff, I mean, you're sailing. You're feeling pretty good to start the year. You've got the Cup coming up. You know, all the stuff we're going to announce coming up before the World Series. There's going to be some World Series events that apply. So, yeah, I mean, let's figure it's the same as last year where the cutoff was right around 1,200. Okay, you're about 1/5 of the way there with 240 points, right? So it feels pretty good.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things to keep track of is that 1,200 point mark sort of becoming a target.
Hey, Alan, can I get some
we
color?
know that
I mean, at the end of the season, during that last
You had
chance, we were
spade
doing
heart?
all the streams. It was like
Sorry?
8
Spade heart?
points here and there. We're like deciding who
yeah.
was in the top 40, who was not in the top 40. So if you're someone like
The
Clemen
best
Deng
suits.
and you get 45, yeah,
Right.
it's good to have, you know. Ultimately, not what you wanted coming in, but, you know, I think you can feel pretty good coming out of this with the final table run in the opening event of the season.
Chidwick, ace, deuce of hearts. Coming in for a raise. 5-handed play now. Shortest stack, Aram Zobian, 26 bigs. Kalinin, 29 bigs. And then Ausmus, Chidwick, and our chip leader, David Coleman. Coleman already sending 2 players to the rail in the early goings here.
Oh.
Call. And so,
Kalinin here going to defend from the big blind. 7-6 deuce.
check.
Probably favoring Kalinin here. See how Stevie wants to approach this. Flopping bottom pair.
And check. 75,000.
75K. Small bet. About 25% of the pot. I don't think Kalinin's going to go anywhere. 2 overs. You do have that gut shot to the nuts. You know, there's no flush draws present, so any 8 is totally good for you.
Call.
There is that call.
Still being out of position against that impressive stare down is not going to make it any more comfortable playing this hand on later streets without having at least a pair. 7 pairs on the turn. Donnie, who do you think this favors?
Probably Kalinin. I wouldn't be surprised to see him lead out here.
10 sec.
You know, just try and take some of the advantage away from Chidwick, and that's what he does. I mean, ultimately, Chidwick does have 2 pair here, so I think he'll likely call this, but I like the lead from Kalinin here. He's going to have a lot of 7s calling out of the big blind. Chidwick probably not so much, raising from the cutoff. Although Chidwick, you know, he can have a wider range. Having the chip stack that he does out of the cutoff.
Call.
And look at this, Chidwick coming along, not buying it that Kalinin is going to have a 7 here a lot of the times. River card is the 8 of clubs, and Kalinin hits his straight. Dream card for him. The question now is, can he get some value from this hand?
It's obviously a very good card for Kalinin. I think there was probably a lot of decent cards that could have come out on the river that Kalinin would have fired. This, you know, of course, in making the nut straight is going to be one of those where he fires. But it could also be one of those where, you know, if Chidwick thinks the 4s, the 5s, the 8s, you know, the 9s of the world are going to be cards that Kalinin is betting anyway, then maybe Chidwick leans to now call with 2 pair. $695 out there. Kalinin's got 1.11 behind.
550.
Ooh, betting 550 into 695.
550.
550. Thank you.
Does this feel bluffy at all from Chidwick's perspective, or does this scream value?
I think a larger sizing might be value. It's hard. I mean, these players are so good with keeping their bet sizes in line with, you know, stories that they're trying to tell. So
10 sec. Copy extension.
Chidwick here giving it some serious thought with just a deuce.
see Andy asking, is throwing the time chip in a value tell? I mean, it can kind of go either way. You see players do a lot of different things. As Chidwick elects to fold here. I was talking to one player. Well, I won't reveal the secrets, I guess, but talking to him the other day before this series even started, and he said, he used 2 time extensions pre-flop because he felt it made him look stronger. So there is some thought there with that. So maybe if you do have your bluffs, you want to make it look stronger. But then if people think that, do you then do that with your value? Because then it's like he thinks, I think, and then it's this whole leveling war, right? So,
That's good.
so yeah.
When I first started playing poker, and we're talking like more than 15 years ago, the first piece of advice I got from an experienced player in this, mind you, this is a home game that I was playing. He said, "Don't look at your cards until it's your turn to act." That was the first piece of advice he gave me, and at the time, that was really good advice. Because every time I had a good hand, I'd get so excited that I'm like paying attention to the action way more than I otherwise would. And if I had a weak hand, I would just sort of be checked out even before it was my turn. But of course, even that you can use to your advantage to balance with and whatnot. So it's kind of funny how all those things, the same way time extension chips can be used, can sort of work in both ways. And I guess it's a matter of staying one step ahead of your opponents and trying to also understand where you're at in that sort of mental battle, because you can easily get lost in the mix there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's so much that these players, look into, read into, how they approach things.
10 seconds.
Kalinin here coming out with a raise from the small blind, Jack-6 suited. Jeremy Ausmus, the ace-7 off, is going to defend from the big blind. A little bit of a larger sizing from Kalinin there, being out of position pre. Pretty standard there. 10, 5, 3, 2 diamonds. Ausmus's hand is still best, but of course Kalinin was the aggressor.
10 seconds. Check.
Checks over to Ausmus.
Check.
Ausmus checks back. 5 of diamonds pairs the board on the turn.
Check.
Kalinin, meanwhile, up to 1.6 million, looking very comfortable after that hand. Action here goes check, check again. This blind battle going to the river as Ausmus hits an ace on the river just to make him feel even more secure about the fact that he has the best hand.
It could be a card here that Kalinin wants to represent. I mean, he did raise pre.
300.
Probably no real reason to bet ace high on the flop out of position, so he can just check it down. Now this ace comes, he wants to represent it. But of course, Jeremy Ausmus is the one with the ace, and he's going to make the quick call here and pick off this bluff.
All right, and Kalinin handing over some of Chidwick's chips to Ausmus here. Coleman, meanwhile, still comfortably out ahead. By the way, if you're with us in the chat on YouTube, please let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how your day has been. We're going to be here for the next 5 days, so, you know, we're basically like your best friends. You can hang out with us for the next 5 days. We're providing you with some awesome poker content. We're going to keep track of the leaderboard, and whatever's on your mind, let us know.
Well, you're not my best friend. I think you got me sick the last day.
Oh, damn. Oh, I
feel good today, but yesterday and the night before, I was dying. But I was like, God damn it, Remko, you're the one who came into the studio with this cough drops and everything.
Yeah, but that was like that was like 10 days ago.
Yeah, but you spread it to me, I feel like.
Damn. Well, you're probably going to spread it to your kids, and then your wife's going to get sick. And then I guess I'll have to
One turn.
send a box of chocolates or something.
10 seconds.
Coleman raising up to 110K with King 3 of diamonds. Kalinin with a real decision here. Ace 10 offsuit.
275.
275.
275 comes up 3-bet in position. Always a good spot to be in. Ausmus tossing some diamonds into the muck. That could, affect Coleman's hand a little bit. Of course, he'll never know that, but we can see that. Donnie, I thought King Little was like the nuts nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it can be.
All right, let's see what we got in the chat here. We got Minnesota, New Zealand, Victoria, Florida, Tel Aviv, Michigan, Dallas, or Dallas City, Illinois. That's a confusing one. Sydney, Australia in the mix. Naples, Florida. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Michael says, my day has been great watching from DC. Thank you, Michael, for tuning in. Anachronism says, loyal watcher from your home country, Netherlands in the house. Thank you so much for representing. We got Pilaf here from the Balkans. Thank you so much for watching. This is funny, Donnie. Pilaf says, thinking about how useless these high-level plays are at my regular home game. Donnie, how much of the style that we're seeing, how much of the strategy that we're witnessing here day after day inside the studio, can you really apply at low stakes? Like, does it really translate? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yes and no. I would say selectively. I mean, I've fallen into that too, where we watch a lot of these players, and they're extremely talented, very skillful, right? But it doesn't always apply for two reasons. One, they're playing against, very high-level competition, so they're going to play one way. A lot of these guys try and play GTO as absolutely perfect as possible. The second aspect is that we're showing final tables, which is a little bit different than, say, level 2 of, like, your South Point Nightly, for example. It's just, that's more chippy V style. This is more ICM style, so then there's going to be those aspects. But I think you can look at things like, what sort of hands are people opening up with pre-flop from certain positions, right? Yeah, maybe they fold the ace-9 off under the gun, but then they open the ace-9 off from the cutoff seat, stuff like that. I'm not saying that that's, the best example, but you can see things like that. When to go for value, when not to go for value, what sort of board textures people are continuation betting, which ones are they checking behind. I think you can kind of read into the general strategies, and also just listen, sit at home, watch the players play, try and guess what they're going to try and do throughout the courses of the hand, and that can ultimately just make you, a better player overall. Even if you don't apply 100% of the stuff that, like, Stephen Chidwick is doing or Jeremy Ausmus is doing at this final table, watching them play and just constantly being in tune with how the game flows, I think will just naturally make you a better player overall. Here we have a limped pot. Chidwick versus Zobian. Check on the flop, and then Chidwick leads 200 on the turn, which is an overbet. Zobian makes the call. $550 out there. Chidwick missed. He's left with queen high. And queen does work as a nice blocker here.
425.
425.
And there is the bet. 425 announced. Zobian here, very talented player. You don't get to see too much of him these days. Years ago, of course, made the WSB main event final table, but he's also a poker coach for PokerCoaching.com. Really has a very, unique and wise thought behind poker and how it's played and how to approach different situations.
Aram Zobian, to me, is one of the most interesting players to have come from that World Series Poker main event final table background as he makes the call here versus Chidwick. He is right. Very sharp there, Donnie, calling with the jack, seeing through Chidwick's bluff.
Yeah, very, very good call there. Probably was leaning call the entire time that he was thinking there, but, you know, it's not, I don't think it's a slam dunk or a fist pump of a call there.
But yeah, going back to what I was trying to say, I was sort of expecting him to tank a bit longer, but yeah, well done by Zobian
We have one more
making
hand.
this call here.
Yeah.
Zobian made the final table of the World Series Poker main event back in 2018. And from all the players at that final table,
Had 120.
aside from Joe Cata, who was already a big star coming into that final table, Zobian is the most present. We see him at events at the studio all the time. We see him grind. He has a long resume of cashes after that final table concluded. And looking back at what that moment was like, I did not expect to see that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see too many players, even though they, you know, come out of the WSB main event final table, everyone's cashing for 6 or 7 figures, excuse me. You don't see a lot of them start taking to the high roller scene. Even Jeremy Ausmus at this final table, it took him a couple years, right? I mean, I did an interview a couple WSPs ago talking with Jeremy.
Just over 2, right?
It wasn't until his
1995.
friends like Jason Kuhn, etc., kind of pushed him to start taking some higher shots. Like, he had that big score, kind of his breakout score, right? But he still played, you know, kind of similar tournaments in the, let's say, 1K to 5K range, some selective 10Ks, large fields. It's a much different type of tournament than these high roller fields are, and you don't always see those players take that jump. We see a little bit of Ryan Reese these days, but even he's kind of more few and far between. Aram Zobian, we see every single series he's out here battling, but you don't see it a lot, right? You don't see these guys just kind of take their money and fire it into these events. It's just a different caliber of a tournament, and it's totally understandable to, you know, game select a little bit more.
Yeah, back when Ausmus made the main event final table back in 2012, he was sort of, you know, a grinder in that, I would say, 5K and below price point. When you look at it,
play a lot of cash too.
Play a lot of cash, yeah, definitely more known as a cash player. Looking back at that, and then in the period that followed 2012, we see him playing more and more high rollers, and of course became more and more comfortable. Most notably, cashing the 100K one drop in 2013, and then slowly but surely working on his tournament chops, so to say. And then when you flash forward to the last couple of years, he's grabbing bracelets left and right, is a regular in the high rollers, and always contending for the top spots on the leaderboard in our PGT race. So very cool to see how careers progress in different ways.
Yeah, and if you ask him these days, you know, he'll tell you he's predominantly a tournament player. You know, he's kind of given up on the cash game stuff. Cash games are, I mean, they're different these days. Some of the times they don't run as big as they used to run. There's the whole private versus public game debate and politics that goes on there. And tournaments can feel a bit more interesting to a lot of players. Cash games can feel static at times. You know, the blinds don't really change. Yeah, you can play a lot deeper and you can get a little bit more creative at times in a cash game, but those changing dynamics within a tournament and ultimately playing down to one winner, you know, that convergence, the competition, I think that draws a lot of these players in. Going back to your question earlier, you know, the one from the chat about, you know, watching this, applying some stuff to your home game. That hand there, Jeremy Ausmus, 7-6 of diamonds under the gun, is totally different than 7-6 of diamonds on the button, right? You know, he probably opens that on the button if it folds to him. Under the gun, no, you know, you don't really want to play it. Cash game, maybe he does open it, right? I mean, so there's all those kind of different factors, but you can kind of glean that information and pull bits and pieces out and then apply it to your game back at home.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me as someone who, of course, watches this with a very keen eye is to pay attention to the consistency of these players. You know, they're deliberate in their actions. They take similar approaches with similar hands, and I feel as though these guys probably balance their ranges a bit more because they see the same players a lot. But I think it was Chance Corner to put out a video on his Twitter the other day comparing high roller fields to, I'd say, the 1K and below fields where you don't run into the superstars at every table, where your goal is basically to go for value, the best possible value, because your stack is worth so much more compared to playing against a bunch of killers all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these players are going to, again, they're going to lean GTO, they're going to lean solver, they're going to try and play as perfectly as possible, right? Whereas you play some of those tournaments that Chance Corner pointed out, I mean, you probably want to lean more exploitative, you know, doing things to exploit your opponents. Yeah, it might diverge from what the solver says to do, right? But you really want to just take advantage, because in those tournaments, and that's where I think, you know, we kind of hit on it a little bit, but that's where Arden Cho kind of like threw those guys for a loop at the PGT Championship final table.
Yep.
She's not going to play GTO and solver, which is totally fine. And that's a lot of times why Phil Hellmuth is able to have his success at times. You know, people can clown on him here and there for, you know, making these weird plays. Limping ace-queen under the gun, it gets raised 3-bet, and he just folds the ace-queen. Is that solver approved? Probably not. But it works for Hellmuth in a lot of the tournaments that he plays, and then when he applies it against a lot of these high roller guys, it can kind of trip them up at times, right?
Absolutely. Hellmuth, one-of-a-kind playing style. Also, the interview he did with Natalie during the championship is, I mean, it's Hall of Fame type stuff. Like, go to Hellmuth's Twitter page. He retweeted it a bunch of times. It was like 4.5 minutes of him just, you know, going on a monologue spree.
But it felt like that was more of the real Hellmuth. Like, he's so often, he's like, billionaire this, investment that. Like, if that feels forced and fake, even though it might be him actually, right? Because that's just how he is. We all know that's how he is. But that interview that he did with Natalie was very genuine. You know, he talked about how he's a little bit insecure at times, like, and he wants to be the best and keep working and whatever. And, you know, the interview was long. It was like 4 or 5 minutes, but I think you got a little bit of, like, the realest that Phil Hellmuth has ever been, which is refreshing to see.
I really wish we could have seen Hellmuth in the PGT kickoff, but plenty of big stars represented. Now, if you're a poker fan, and I know you are because you're watching this right now, please follow along as well with our live reporting. PGT.com, you'll see a ticker at the top of the screen. It has the most recent updates from event number 2, which just kicked off. 39 entries in that event so far to start the day. Re-entries available, but yeah, already seeing Ryan Reese, Kristen Foxen, Eric Seidel, Maria Ho, Shannon Shore, Jim Colopy, all grinding to get some points here in the early goings of 2024. Masashi Oya is back in the mix. Adam Walton stuck around. Really cool to see all these players clashing, grinding, all that good stuff. And like I said, Arden Cho, she is in the mix. By the way, Jeremy Becker, Donnie, the man who owns the win, now playing here at the studio.
Yeah, he played a couple events during PGT Last Chance to wrap up the season, took some shots there. You know, I think we're going to see him take some more shots. I saw on social media the other day he won another tournament at the win for like 12K. I mean, the guy's a machine. You know, if he can now parlay that into some success here within the studio, I mean, we're talking, right?
Chidwick here attempting to see a cheap flop, limps in from the small blind. Aram Zobian puts a stop to that, makes it 2:20 to go, and Chidwick calls out of position with King 8 of spades. Interesting flop here coming out. It is King Queen 3. Chidwick gets ahead here, but Donnie for Zobian being the pre-flop raiser, not the worst flop for him from his perspective.
No, not the worst. I mean, after raising pre, that flop is probably going to connect with his range a little bit. He's also, of course, has the gutter to make Broadway here.
Zobian checks behind. 8 on the turn gives Chidwick 2 pair. So from Chidwick's perspective, Donnie, does he think that Zobian will not continue on the flop unless he connects with it? Do you think he should check again now because his range is going to be so weak and him making any sort of money is going to be tough on both turn and river?
I mean, he might want to start betting. You know, he can check some as well. Kind of depends what he puts Zobian on overall. Like if you put him on a queen, then you probably want to start betting. That said, maybe Zobian bets a hand like a queen jack in position there, with only one overcard to really worry about. But if he thinks that Zobian's just got a hand like he has, I mean, ace jack, any ace high, ace 10, ace 9, ace 7, stuff like that, stuff that hasn't connected, yeah, maybe you check to him again, you just let him kind of bet at it. Maybe he's got something like a 9-10 or a 9-7, something like that. Chidwick filling up here on the river.
Chidwick, of course, going to have to do his own betting at this point. Zobian left with the strongest no pair hand, so maybe he'll be tempted to look him up here. Chidwick bets 125. Zobian looking at his chips and does look him up with the ace jack. Little wry smile there.
You say that's good? That's a nice hand. Okay. Very softly.
A shout out to everyone watching with us right now on YouTube. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I think we're going to just keep the train rolling during the kickoff here. Every 500 likes, we'll do a merch gift card giveaway. So let's bring this stream up to 500 likes if you want to be a part of that. Gave away some $50 merch gift cards during our PGT Championship. Hope to do that again the coming days. By the way, if you want to know what else is going on PokerGO, if you check out pokergo.com/schedule, you can see all our new releases. Not only our live streams, but also new episode releases of No Gamble, No Future. And we are working on a new season of High Stakes Poker, so that's going to be coming to you as well in the spring. And then, Donnie, was it yesterday? The Global Poker Awards were announced.
They were. What's that, February 24th?
Yep.
Yeah.
February 24th, Global Poker Awards.
They'll be back.
Yep. Donnie, you and I are on the long list for broadcaster.
We are.
On the long
I like it. I like it.
I feel like everyone who's ever done poker commentary.
There's only one award I want to win.
I know.
It's the podcast award. That's the only one I care about ever winning.
It sucks that I won it before you joined. the Poker Central podcast won the award for the podcast when I was still doing it with Brent Hanks. Way back when, 2016, I believe. Whew, we're getting old. Coleman and Zobian playing this hand, both players holding a jack. Zobian in a bit of a better spot here. He raised to 225 before the flop from the small blind. Coleman called from the big. Queen 6-4 on the flop. Coleman takes the lead.
Yeah, Coleman flops all right here, you know, at tapping position. He's got a pair. He's got backdoor clubs. Someone shouting out Stephen Chidwick's kombucha tableside. Every day he walks into the studio, he's got a kombucha with him every single day. Coleman checks back. Ace of clubs on the turn, going to make this one a bit more interesting. Zobian takes the lead with a better pair, but it's a second club, so Coleman now with a flush draw to go along with his pair of fours. Coleman is also in position here. Zobian electing to check.
Coleman happy to check behind with his flush draw. And the river brings the 8 of clubs. Flush comes in for Coleman. Zobian with a pair of aces must feel like he'll have the best hand some of the time at least. Very sneaky backdoor flush.
I thought on the turn we might see Zobian come with either a large size or even an overbet. He elected the check, though, which ultimately allowed Coleman to back into this flush.
430.
Now he's going to come with the larger size, and I can't imagine Coleman is not going to be raising this.
Wow, 430 is the bet from Zobian. He knows, or we know, that he won't see those chips again. What makes you say that raising here may not be the move for Coleman?
I think he will raise.
Oh, okay.
I think he will put it in. I mean, you have the Jack of Clubs, so you're only beat by King of Club combinations.
On.
There it is.
Coleman moves all in, putting maximum pressure on Zobian, and he's quick with the fold. He's got the bad news. Isn't it funny, Donnie? When you bet that river, you're hoping to get called, but if you get raised or shoved on, you know it's bad news.
Yeah, I mean, you know it's bad news. There's also maybe a chance that, you know, your opponent got one over on you. But that said, you just don't have a hand that can really call there. I mean, it's just unfortunate for Zobian. Not that the hand plays out any differently if he bets the turn, Zobian, but, you know, because with the pair and a flush draw, I think I would expect, depending on the sizing, for Coleman to come along, but Zobian might be double thinking or, you know, questioning himself as to the turn check.
Shout out to Caroline Beasley. Welcome to the rail. Thank you for joining our YouTube community. You get access to exclusive content, emojis, your name's in a cool color. Very much appreciate it. Charger T in the chat, also a member of our community, says, hello, Remko and Donnie, and chat. Friday Night Live Poker, oh yeah. Yeah, Donnie, with how our lives have been basically thrown for a wrench has been thrown into them by all these crazy streaming times, I forgot the fact that it is actually Friday. So welcome everyone to some Friday night action. And speaking of action,
sorry, I mean, I saw Jacks, then I saw Kings, and I mean, whoa. I mean, this is an absolute cooler for the chip leader here, Coleman. I mean, he's blind versus blind. You're feeling great here.
Wow. Kalinin back to his usual posture, not giving away anything. He's got the hat, the hoodie, the sunglasses. He's got the hands basically folded on the table rail. Makes it 375, 980 behind.
Just an unfortunate spot here for Coleman.
All in.
Wow, he moves all in, and Kalinin with the quick double check, making sure that is indeed pocket kings, and he makes the call. A little frustration on the face of Coleman, and understandably so. When you're in a blind battle, you do not expect your opponent to just show up with pocket kings. Very, very unfortunate situation for Coleman. The only good news is he has Kalinin covered by quite the margin. But if the kings hold up here, it will really even the playing field a whole lot more, making the final table action perhaps a bit more interesting. Instead of having a runaway chip leader, we'll have Kalinin with 2.7 million, which would make him the current chip leader. So we're playing for the chip lead, 30K, 60K blinds, just shy of 3 million in the middle. Massive pot here between the American and the Russian. Here comes the flop. 3-3-5, very clean run out. No chops possible in this hand as Coleman looks for a jack and a jack only to send Kalinin to the rail.
Ooh.
Turn. Oh! Oh my God, look at that face! Oh my God. Coleman drills it in the turn, and all Kalinin do is like laugh. I mean, this is a joke, right? River card, the 3 of hearts,
Game.
and Kalinin is sent to the rail in dramatic fashion.
Biggest heater of my life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Biggest heater of his life, David Coleman says it in his own words. What an absolute disaster
undefeated.
turn card for the Russian.
24.
Yeah.
Nikita Kalinin, busts in 5th place, and David
Only one
Coleman
suit. It was spades.
extends his chip lead to
We only won.
5.7 million.
I was rooting for a jack.
I was rooting for the club.
Wow.
I didn't mind to see a jack.
One big blind.
Not gonna lie. One big blind.
What an epic hand.
This is insane. I've never run this hot in my life.
I love your reaction.
So about that heater, if you go back to November, the NAPT returns to Las Vegas.
That's pretty.
I mean, it was
David
whatever.
Coleman
Like,
finished
You weren't trying to
third
predict
in
it.
that
Not
main event,
expected,
1,095 players. He got 120K.
had to laugh
I
about.
thought someone would do the ooh.
Then, at the World Poker
Not
Tour
Chidwick,
World
right?
Championship Series, he took third in
never gonna
a
do that
$1,600 event, one of
Unless
the
I'm-
final events
I mean, if
there,
I'm in that.
Yeah,
255,000.
this spot.
And then just a couple days ago, Remko,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Card
yeah.
Player
If I'm
Poker
in-
Tour
in
over at
my head, I
Venetian,
might do that.
$1,600 buy-in. David
But not
Coleman just
usually
rips it
something,
off
you
for
know.
a win,
And I
116K. So it's
Oh
like
my
boom,
God.
boom, boom. Last 2.5 months,
120.
the guy's on absolute fire, and he remains on fire in this event, as evidenced by that jack on the turn. Immediately picks up sixes the next hand.
You have about.
It's David Coleman's world right now, and we're all just living in it.
Oh my God.
Thanks.
I mean, he must be number one
Cool.
in the race for GPI Player of the Year
Thanks.
when the first rankings come out. 2024, only 12 days old. He's already had so much success.
It's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic now to this final table. Coleman's got more than 90 big blinds, at least to start this hand. I believe he has more than every other player, all the other players combined. So he could really, you know, ramp up the aggression here, leverage his opponents, and put them in some tough spots.
That's 75.
Of course, I mean, it's not going to be easy, even though these guys are shorter on chips. Jeremy Ausmus, Stephen Chidwick, Aram Zobian are not going to go quietly. In that event over at the Venetian a couple days ago, 457 entries,
What?
about 650K in the prize pool.
Oh, it's me.
David Coleman coming out on top.
Coleman just shy of 100 big blinds as we are four-handed. Aram Zobian laddering up nicely now that we are down to 4. He is still sitting on 20 bigs. Of course, lost a chunk there to Chidwick and then lost a chunk to Coleman, but still in the hunt right here. Final 4 guaranteed $40,000, so nothing to sneeze at for only a 5K buy-in.
135.
By the way, PGT Kickoff,
130.
4 straight events, 5K buy-in. The final event, 10K buy-in. And the final event sort of plays like a 20K event with how the points are distributed. So, Donnie, I can only imagine that that 10K might be massive.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be massive in terms of the points race, that's for sure. And it's the first week of the new season, but that's going to invite a lot of players at that price point to get in here and get a boatload of points. I would imagine there's at least 350, maybe 400 points up top for the winner in that event, which is a huge chunk. Again, going back to the leaderboard from last season, the top 40 got in with, you know, the minimum was right around 11 to 1,200. So if you're able to rip off that 10K and get 400 points, if that's ultimately what it is, you're a third of the way there to qualifying for the championship, which is massive with how much of the season is still left to play out. Coleman out of the way here. Ausmus is going to open this one up on the button. Ace-deuce off. Chidwick's got a king-jack. Chidwick could maybe put this in.
400.
He's going to 3-bet non all in. Zobian out of the way. Ausmus gives it up, and Chidwick takes that one down. Probably the most important thing there from that hand is that Chidwick is able to somewhat separate himself from Ausmus and Zobian a little bit more, which can put him in a little bit more of a comfortable position if David Coleman, with the chip lead that he has, is going to be applying the pressure to his opponents. Chidwick affords himself a little bit more breathing room there in second place. They are going to, probably lean heavily on playing the ICM game, these guys.
If you're just tuning in, payouts available in the YouTube description, but just to summarize, 40K for fourth, 55 for third, 77 for second, and 120K for first. So quite a lot of dollars on the line here today. Quite a good ROI to be had at the start of the year. And Chidwick, of course, all business. Hasn't said a word yet. He's just sticking to plan. Raising it up here with ace-9 offsuit.
Zobian's going to have a decision here with ace-10 off. In the small blind against a button open. Zobian on 20 big, so this might be good enough to just...
770.
Yeah, that's... that's one of those committing raises there.
$770 announced from Zobian. Action back on Chidwick.
Should be 1, 2, 4.
Take a gander at Zobian's total chips. Donnie, for Chidwick here, can he take this hand and go with it?
10 seconds.
I mean, he could. I don't think I would. I mean, of course, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I see the cards here, but just don't think ace-9 off is strong enough here. But I'm not Stephen Chidwick, so I'm not going to pretend to get into the wizard's mind.
Chidwick does let it go, and Zobian picks up the chips here. But of course, if he had known Chidwick's cards, he would have probably given him a discount to get the money in there. Zobian still picks up.
Yeah, they're always
white
worth,
if
they're
you
always
do.
worth, use one, then it's 30, right?
Yeah, they're always worth 30, I think.
Yeah, every time. Okay.
Yeah.
These guys were saying they played the whole last series thinking they had 20, 20, 20.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they're saying like some dealers thought it was 20, plus 20, you know.
Yeah, it's like a brand new thing, so.
Yeah, I wonder. Think he'll keep it for majors? Yeah.
I think this is,
It's better because you just get more time extensions in general, right?
Yeah, it seems good overall, I think.
Mm-hmm. I got like 13 right now.
Yeah, I have a ton,
More than I know what to do with.
Yeah, you guys got too much time.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Chidwick here,
gotcha.
king jack off, under the gun. Probably going to come in with a raise. And there it is.
Raise to 135.
Call.
Chidwick makes it 135. Coleman in the small blind makes the call. Donnie, the call here with nines seems perhaps a little bit conservative and also allowing Ausmus, who happens to pick up a decent hand, into this hand to go three-way, but Ausmus does let it go.
And maybe Coleman's just thinking Chidwick's second in chips. He's probably a little bit stronger than normal with me, the chip leader, still to act, right, within one of the blinds, so... Favorable flop here for Coleman with those 9s.
Interesting as well to see Ausmus just quickly let go of Queen Jack offsuit there. I think that's a situation where I, myself, and probably many people watching are thinking, oh, we can get into some multi-way action here with Queen Jack off. This might be a good price. Donnie, do you think that's a commonly made mistake, or do you think Ausmus might be a bit too conservative there? What's your take on the situation?
With the Queen Jack? I mean, it's just hard when you're shorter, man. It really is. Queen Jack suited, different story. Queen Jack off. I know that sounds maybe like a very minor detail, but it's pretty big overall, right? I mean, Ausmus probably thinking kind of similar sort of thing in terms of Chidwick's range. And Ausmus probably, let's say Ausmus is dealt a 7-6. He might feel a little bit more comfortable calling with that versus a hand that might be dominated in a lot of spots. Ace-King, or sorry, Ace-Queen, King-Queen, stuff like that can certainly be in Chidwick's range.
625.
Like, you know, if you have a 7-6, maybe you're a little bit more live, so he elects to call there. Check raise here from Coleman. Now he's just going to try and get the money in, but of course, I don't think Chidwick's going to be doing much more dancing with this one.
Interesting here, Donnie. Why are we opting to check raise here? Chidwick is going to probably have two options here, either to go all in or to fold, but when he goes all in, aren't 9s going to be in trouble the majority of the time?
Maybe Chidwick has an ace-8 suited. Maybe he's got 2 hearts. I mean, you just want to deny equity also against like the ace-kings, the ace-queens of the world. Don't want to give any free cards. Your 9s are vulnerable, right? So just at that point, just get the money in and let's go. Let's just run it, C5 cards, and go from there.
Coleman again with the win there, and he is absolutely dominating this final table. He is up to over 56% of the chips in play. We've seen this story play out before where one player runs away with it and then, you know, gets the heads-up play, and then, of course, it is still anyone's game. But ultimately, right now, it'd be hard to bet against Coleman taking this one down.
Yeah, certainly the big favorite here, especially with how good of a poker player he is.
Coleman, king-queen offsuit on the button. Again, with the playable hand. And he said it himself, you know, he said the hot run continues. And I guess he is looking to find out whether that's the case. Because beating a lineup like this is definitely not something to sneeze at.
I mean, he's been cruising.
We can take our
Of course, he hit that jack on the turn,
What
but
did you say?
he's
One?
had good hands every time.
Okay.
Absolutely cruising for David Coleman so far, up to 79 big blinds. We're coming back with blinds at 40K and 80K. The players are stepping away for a second, but of course, as you know, Donnie and I love to do some time travel, so we're just going to stick with us here. You guys better stick with us here as we are not going on break. We're just quickly skipping through that.
I want a graphic. I want like a time machine.
A time machine graphic?
I want like come on, like fire a DeLorean. There it is. It was Sarah, not Susan. Dang.
Susan. Okay, okay. Listen. This is outside the PokerGO studio. This is the wall with the hearts and the wall with the gold playing cards. Victoria Lifshitz, who plays in our studio all the time, spotted a love letter. Let's read it here. Sarah, I have been trying to get a message to you. We want all the same things. Loved you since the treehouse, past, present, future, and the next. Rob. RGK, REM, PS. I've never lied to you. Remember that. All right, chat, let's speculate on what's going on here. Is this...
Internet, do your thing.
Yeah.
Find a Sarah.
I mean, the only Sarah I can think
Does that
of...
say, is that her last name, Ashby? Sarah Ashby?
Sarah Ashby?
Is that
That'd be kind of crazy.
related to Len Ashby?
Put her full name out there. But yeah, I kind of want us all to speculate on this. Like, why did he leave the message there? Like, does he not have her phone number anymore? Is this like a misconnection type situation?
And mind you, this is not the first time that we've seen a message on those suits outside. And that suit, by the way, the picture might not do it justice, but it's about 12 inches by 12 inches. I mean, it's big. The cards are like 6 feet tall.
Yes.
So then the little pips, are about a foot in diameter each way. So, you know, that's a legitimate message that if you're walking by and you're Sarah, I mean, you might look. It's got the hot pink writing on it.
Oh man, so funny. Shout out to Victoria Lifshitz. Give her a follow. She does great work with Lucky Chewy, Nick Schulman, and a whole bunch of others developing the Octopi platform. So got to give them some love as well. And we're back to the action. There you go. 40K, 80K. Blinds are up. You guys did not miss a hand. Just a little bit of a sideshow here. Much appreciate everyone for tuning in.
If you guys want to hop into the beta for Octopi Poker, octopipoker.ai. You can sign up and test out some of the tools, you know, before everything is like fully live.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to do so.
Endro Deucing says, today is maybe his luckiest day, Mr. Coleman. I mean, you want to save it up for the biggest of spots. This, of course, this is sort of like an appetizer, you know? You get your year going, winning a few buy-ins. And, you know, our good friend and video editor, Joseph Maletta, is chiming in on my personal Slack. He is saying that we need time machine sound effects with graphics of your faces at warp speed. Well, there you go. I would love to have that. Zobian, King Queen on this flop. Looks like it's going to continue.
Let's check call, 150K here.
Wow. Speak of a card on the turn. Zobian hits Broadway. Ausmus hits a pair of jacks. Picks up a Broadway draw. A king now. Actually, a king would have already given him a straight, but a king would still give him a straight.
Yeah, if this goes check here, I mean, maybe Ausmus pays off Zobian on the river. Just thinking that 7 does pair the board on the river, does go check. Just thinking that, well, you know, now I got 2 pair. There's going to be some aces, maybe even the king queens of the world that Zobian 3-bets all in pre-flop, button versus big blind here. So if that's the case, maybe this is a missed diamond draw. Probably do have to have some concern for 8-9.
Zobian taking his time here.
485.
485 is the bet. A little bit more than half the pot.
Yeah, Zobian here trying to pick a sizing, find a sizing that he feels Ausmus will pay off. So what is that max value? He elects to go 485, which is, you know, around a third of what Ausmus has left. A little over 1.3 left for Ausmus. No diamonds in the hand of Ausmus, so he's unblocking missed flush draws here. And then he's blocking value in King Queen. But Ausmus does correctly find the fold. Well done.
Zobian has chipped up nicely ever since getting to four-handed play. Now Chidwick and Ausmus near the bottom of the counts here. But still, with the blinds this big, all it takes is, you know, one big hand and you're basically a favorite. Four-handed player, in case you're just tuning in, this is the PGT kickoff. Double points up for grabs in the race for our $1 million free roll at the end of this current season. We just wrapped up that PGT Championship Arden show, putting on one hell of a run. Ultimately, Daniel Smilkovic coming out on top, winning the 500K top prize. top 40 will yet again qualify for that free roll at the end of this year, and these players are looking to get a bit of a head start coming into this calendar year. Donnie, give the people at home watching a bit of insight into what counts for the PGT. But of course, we have our own events, but there's a little more on top of just those.
Yeah, just quickly first, all of the owned and operated PokerGo events, so that's PokerGo Cup, that's the US Poker Open, that's the Poker Masters, that's Super High Roller Bowl. Those are our marquee majors. Then you have the, don't exactly want to call them minors because that feels like it's, you know, belittling a little too much, but you have the PGT PLO series, the Mixed Game series, etc. But then we have, you know, some partners that we work with. We work with Aria closely, of course, you know, the studio being here at Aria Resort and Casino, adjacent to, you know, the poker room a little bit outside. But Aria has high rollers that they run throughout the year, and those count towards the PGT. You can check out the schedule of those when they get announced at pgt.com/schedule. Every year there's a handful of World Series of Poker events that also apply. If we're going to run back the same thing as last year, don't know if that's for sure yet, but WSOP counted all the 10K and up events during the summer, then all the 10K and up events during WSOP Europe, and also all the 10K and up events during WSOP Paradise. So if that carries over to this season, you can expect much of the same. You know, we've worked with the Win in the past, we've worked with other various partners in the past, so, you know, all that stuff is kind of TBD right now, but I know PGT Commissioner Tim Duckworth is hard at work trying to iron out the rest of the schedule and lock things in. I will say this, we do have one new venue, I think, that's coming on board this season. Can't really get into it too much, but I think the people out there will enjoy it. So
I love getting a little tease.
I mean, I kind of hate teasing people because I'm leaving you hanging, but, you know, I'm excited for it.
Interesting action here on this paired flop with two aces out there. Zobian betting 85K. Ausmus going on the offensive side here, making it 220K to go. This could be a bit of a standoff here, neither player believing the other has an ace. And look at this. Zobian comes along with King Queen High. Donnie, is this a case where Ausmus raises to try and take it away, and then he will just have to give up on the river, on the turn, excuse me?
I mean, Ausmus is check raising with, I mean, his 7-5 wraps around that 4 a little bit nicely. Probably a little bit better to have a 6-5. He's also got those backdoor spades, as we see come in here. You know, he can just target a lot of hands that Zobian is opening on the button that just don't connect. Zobian certainly doesn't have to have an ace, doesn't have to have a pair. I think we're going to see Ausmus come again here on the turn, given the way that this one ran out. Don't think you want to like check call it off here. So I think Ausmus just might put this in, given how his stack is lining up to the pot.
Three.
300.
Okay, he's going to go a little bit smaller here. 300,000 from Ausmus.
Ausmus playing with fire here, having only 535K behind, and Zobian with a quick look back at his cards and tosses him into the muck. Very well done from Jeremy Ausmus. Picks up a crucial pot here during four-handed play. There it is, some quality on display there from Ausmus, recognizing that a second stab at it would be enough to get it done. Coleman counting his time extension chips, perhaps anticipating some tough decisions in the coming orbits. Once again, the offer still stands. When we hit 500 likes on today's video, we'll give away a gift card to our PokerGO
160.
merch shop.
160.
If you just want to see what we have on offer, just go to PokerGoShop.com. Check out our vast offering of merch options. Coleman here. Queen 4 of hearts, raising it up on the button. Stephen Chidwick in the big blind. King 9 off. Perhaps want to battle with this, and he comes along for the call.
Heads up.
Ace, King 6 on the flop. Chidwick with a pair of kings. Question now, of course, how aggressive does Coleman want to be? How much confidence does Chidwick have in his king? Lots of questions that need to be answered. Pilif asking or saying, Ausmus in a warm jacket and Zobian in a t-shirt. Is it hot or cold there? Generally, it is really cold in here. Generally. I'm wearing a sweater and a jacket right now. Well, it's not as cold as our side room, Donnie.
No, that room is unbelievably cold. It's not even funny.
Coleman, by the way, continues for 110K. Chidwick still, you know, looking at the pair of kings. Probably happy to let Coleman bet at it. And he does. Just come along with the call.
Check.
Chidwick again with the check. Happy to let Coleman bet it. Coleman realizes that he probably won't get rid of Chidwick that easily and opts to check behind. No reason, of course, for Coleman to get out of line. He has a massive chip lead, doesn't have to take major risks. There's a few pay jumps lurking here as all of his opponents are in that 20 big blind range. Chidwick, of course, trying to be perhaps a little tricky, going for value. I would not be surprised to see him check again here. Interesting part that we often forget to realize is that we are the only ones able to see all the cards. These players still have to figure it all out. Oh, Chidwick is not going to go for the check. He's going to do some betting of his own. Like 225. Quick fold from Coleman. Chidwick takes this one down. Quiet inside the triangle studio here. These players are all business. If you want to also keep track of event number 2 that just kicked off inside the studio, check out pgt.com, click on the banner at the top of the page. You'll go straight to the live reporting of event number 2. Players are still funneling into the building. We've got plenty of stars in the mix, including Eric Seidel, Ryan Reese. Dylan Weissman is back in the mix. Maria Ho is playing. So far, 43 players in that event. Late registration still open, I believe, till about 6:30. So if you're listening to this and you're in Las Vegas, you can still hop on into this 5K buy-in event. Coleman, 160 this time around. Ausmus with a real hand. King, queen offsuit.
$390.
390.
3-bet from Ausmus here. Chidwick and Zobian out of the way. Let's see how hot Coleman feels like he's running.
Yeah. Queen Jack just too weak a hand on to continue with here, or are we going to see a flop?
Call.
Call.
He is going to call. He's going to test out this momentum that he was talking about earlier. tricky spot with Queen Jack off, you know, because you can be dominated by a lot of hands, as we see with Ausmus in position with the King Queen. Well, Coleman's going to try and get a little lucky here. That's not it. That's all Ausmus.
That is all Ausmus indeed. Donnie, is this flop so strong that if you're Ausmus, you're going to be checking behind a reasonable amount of the time as well?
Yeah, I don't hate a check behind. I mean, I think you can rule out ace-king, of course, right? I mean, maybe you just want to try and get some value from maybe some smaller pairs, maybe some ace-highs like the ace-jacks, ace-tens of the world, and not, you know, give those hands a free card. Ausmus does go small here, about 25% pot.
Ausmus picks this one up, and you know, this level we've seen all three players taking away a few from Coleman, who was up to 97 big blinds at one point, now down to 71, still with a comfortable lead, still at 51% of the total chips in play.
See a couple people asking if Daniel Negreanu's playing. I don't think so. I know his whole thing was quality over quantity, which likely means skipping some of the smaller events. You know, even though that these are worth double points, he might be sitting out some of these 5K tournaments that we are running on the PGT this year and focusing on a lot of the bigger buy-in stuff. I know specifically as it comes to the WSOP, that's really what he mentioned, you know, playing all of the bigger buy-in stuff, a much lower schedule than he can in the past, which, you know what's going to happen? In the past, it's always been Daniel has been go, 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 nonstop every single day at the World Series of Poker, and he's missed out on a bracelet in Las Vegas for so many years now. You know, he hasn't been in the Player of the Year race for a lot of years now. This will be the year that he, like, wins 2 bracelets playing, like, you know, 15 to 20 events, just the biggest and best, but really focusing on that quantity.
Yeah, and you also know what my theory on that is.
What's that?
He's going to go to lower volume. He's going to win, like, a bracelet in the first week. He's going to be in contention. He's going to stick to his guns, win a second bracelet, and then make it deeper on the main event.
Yep. I mean, they always have, like, either a 25K or a 50K very early in the series, one of those high rollers. Like, he'll probably rip that one off and be like, all right, let's go.
Yep, exactly.
But I don't think this summer we'll see him in the, you know, the $300 Gladiators tournament that he was running deep in last year that sucked him in for so many days.
170.
Zobian here finds the Cowboys. Let's see how lucky Coleman is. Queen Jack of Diamonds does offer quite a bit of potential. Donnie, are we likely to try to just see flops here with Queen Jack suited?
He might just put this in.
Zobian only on 15
There
bigs.
it is.
He moves all in, testing his
3 for
luck.
4.
One Jack dead there as Ausmus folds Jack 3. Coleman
I think I'm going to win this one too.
No.
You're dead. No. Dead.
You heard him there. He thinks he's going to win this one too.
Still dead.
Remko did mention Jeremy
It's
also
used
put
to
that
7.
Jack of Spades in the muck,
Spade
so
heart,
Coleman is going to need a lot of help.
Do we have to feel bad for Zobian before we even see the flop?
1.2.
Zobian at risk here
1, 2,
with pocket
3,
kings.
0.
I would put it out there, but no point.
Coleman saying he's not even going to prepay, no point.
False
He's gonna win
confidence
it.
is a flimsy shield.
All right, here comes the flop. 8-8-4. The backdoor straight flush, Donnie.
Yeah,
It's still in there.
Coleman called for the 9 of diamonds on the turn, so
Turn card. Is the 10 of
diamonds.
spades the
9
9
of diamonds on the river?
Yeah, that would do it.
Good game.
Coleman still full of confidence. Zobian 1 card away from being a contender again. It's the 6 of hearts. And
I saw 6. I saw 6. I saw red. I saw.
Oh my God. For a second, I really thought that Coleman had done it again.
1.230.
Coleman now pays off his debt, and Aram Zobian now up to second in chips. Donnie, we are now 1 double up away involving Coleman from this basically being an even match, or at least a flip-flop in the standings, as Zobian sits on 32 bigs, Ausmus and Chidwick in that 25 big blind range. Very interesting four-handed battle here. 4 top players going at it. If you're just tuning in, please be entertained by the level of play on display here. The remaining 4 guaranteed $40,000, 120K up top, so plenty of money to fight for here. And of course, double points in the race for the PGT Championship.
Coleman's momentum there takes a little bit of a hit, but still plenty healthy on the leaderboard. Aram Zobian's got to be feeling pretty darn good with that double up.
10 seconds. Second. 160.
Ausmus here thinking about it. Might be enough of a hand to go all in.
40.
Just going to 3-bet instead. Coleman, of course, has the stack, has the position to be opening up quite wide, and quick fold from him. I think we're going to just see a lot of this where it's, kind of jockeying for position between these 4. No one just willing to blast it off that much.
Coleman here again with a premium four-handed holding, the good old suited ace.
10 seconds.
Some quick folds over to Zobian. Jack-9 offsuit in the big blind. He's going to defend.
Jack 9-4 here. Nice for Zobian. He's got all the momentum now.
$330.
330.
Coleman continuing here for 330. Zobian probably chomping at the bit here to get some extra money in the pot. Question, of course, being, is he going to check raise on this draw-heavy board? Donnie, that seems like the most likely scenario here, given the straight and flush draws out there.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him check raising. I could see him just calling here.
Pot extension.
Maybe you just call and, try and take things a little bit more conservative. Probably not really wanting to just go crazy against on a board where the turn card can really change kind of the dynamics of things.
10 seconds.
All in.
All in.
So he's just going to go for it all and just shut it down. In that spot, if you're Zobian, I mean, there's just so many cards on the turn that are just like not. Like if the 7 of clubs rolls off, you're just like, man, what? Like, I mean, not that you're folding, but you're just like, really? Like, come on, So, listen, man, you got it. You got a flush draw. Let's go. Let's run the 5. Let's get there. But I'm gonna take my 2 pair, and I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go with this.
Zobian continues to climb. Coleman continues to see his chip lead dwindle. Donnie, he's gone from 6 million down to 3.7, and all of a sudden, we're basically like in the territory where any pot he loses is going to make him lose the chip lead.
I mean, I haven't minded Coleman's play at all. I think everything he's done has been perfectly fine. I mean, even the queen-jack from the small blind, the suited queen-jack, just ripping it in. I mean, so many times your opponents there are just going to not have anything that they're willing to call with. Of course, Zobian had the 2 kings, so he's putting his money in, but
180.
I think that Coleman's taking kind of the correct approach here, and that's what a
Just
chip
stack of
leader,
purple behind the yellow.
and at the time he
3
was a big
stacks of
chip leader.
purple.
That's what the chip
I
leader's
don't know.
supposed to do, so.
10 seconds.
Ausmus here, under the gun / cutoff, comes in with the raise. Zobian gets out of the way. Queen 10 here in the big blind for Coleman.
10 seconds. Call. Pass.
Chad is very confident in the fact that that flop was really bad for Coleman to bet on the previous hand, Donnie. What do you think? Having that Jack 9-4 with 2 clubs out there.
Sorry, say that again.
The chat believes strongly that it was a bad flop for Coleman to continuation bet on against Zobian.
I mean, it's easy when we see the cards, right? I mean, what if Zobian just has nothing and just folds? I mean, then we're all like, yeah, you know, he correctly took a stab there on the flop. I mean, maybe he can check behind with the ace high. I think he's probably a little bit more likely to check behind if he's got at least one club in his hand.
Check.
It also has to look strong. I would think from, if you're Zobian. I mean, Zobian obviously flopped top 2 pair, but a lot of the times, yeah,
Check.
the chip leader might check behind there. So if he is betting, maybe he is kind of strong there, right? So.
Interesting turn card in this hand. Doesn't lead to a whole lot as Ausmus picked up a flush draw and whiffs on the river. Coleman picks up a pair of queens on the turn. No money into this pot on flop or turn. And now, of course, it seems like Ausmus is going to have an easy decision to let go of this one if Coleman decides to go for value.
Yeah, I think Coleman should try and bet here. Try and get some calls from some ace highs.
480.
Maybe he even gets calls from some king highs.
$480 from Coleman.
Which was, I believe, exactly a pot-sized bet. All right, Ausmus does give it up there. Probably feels good if you're Coleman there, just to win a pot. You know, you've been losing some pots recently, so being able to pull one your direction is good.
It would be nice to go back to 40-minute levels.
Yeah, it'll feel like forever.
Yeah. It should be 40 for the final table.
I think heads up. Like 15 or something. 15 or 20.
20, huh?
Are all the events going to 20 heads up? Last year they did, right? I think some, or 30 maybe? 40 to 30? 40 to 30. Is that what it is?
Look at this. Zobian finds pocket queens on the button.
10 seconds. 175.
Interesting hearing players talk about the length of the levels.
Sorry.
Thank you.
They would like some more play when there's all this money on the line. But we also, Donnie, we have to get them out of here with a chance
I mean, they got to get into the other event,
yeah,
right?
exactly, with a chance to play in event number 2.
Yeah, levels are 30 minutes throughout in all of these events, and then once play does reach heads-up play, the levels get chopped down to 20 minutes. But, you know, there's only 2 players involved, so The idea would be that things are going a little bit faster.
Nine-8 of hearts for Coleman. Once again, going to attack those blinds. Hasn't really won many hands
160.
ever since we came back from that short break. And winning the blinds in ante here must feel quite good. We got Live Lucky in the chat, says LFG Zobian. Good to have some fans in the chat. Let us know who you're rooting for. Also, don't forget to like this video. When we hit 500 likes on the video, whether it's today or tomorrow or whenever, we're going to give away some merch gift cards, and we're streaming for the next 5 days, so hopefully we'll be able to hit that mark so we can give you guys some love, some additional love. We're trying to give as much love as we can.
That's that.
Let us know, by the way, in the chat where you're watching from if you're just joining us. Just shy of 2,000 people watching on this wonderful Friday afternoon in Las Vegas. It's kind of nuts, Donnie. A couple days ago, we were streaming till fairly late at night, the final table of the PGT Championship. Before that, we were streaming in the middle of the night until about 3 or 4 in the morning. Now we're in the early afternoon, so I feel as though you and I together are speaking to a global audience because we just keep changing the time for the stream, which hopefully gives us a chance to reach people all over the world, which is kind of cool.
I keep changing my sleep schedule too.
I feel like I'm back now to my normal routine.
I really have no idea if I'm back.
I did not realize it was
three
Friday
stacks
today,
before
so that says something.
four?
Probably.
4.
Zobian, ace
five,
queen
four.
offsuit is going to come in for the raise.
Just a second. Check. Like that.
Coleman defends with a beautiful looking 6-8 of clubs on this flop, picking up a gut shot.
Check.
Zobian just checks right away on this rainbow board, and Coleman
100.
tosses in 100,000. Ace queen high probably too strong to fold here right away, Donnie.
We're up. This is the first
Yeah, I
hand
think
of
you're
the
going to see
level,
at least one call here from
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Zobian.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there it is.
Call.
These are the two biggest stacks at the table going at it here. 9 on the turn comes in. That means Coleman has an unbeatable straight. Perfect card for him.
One second. $375.
$500,000 out there, and Coleman comes with 375.
5 with a heart.
Yep.
Always assuming I have a bluff.
Usually the other way around.
Zobian gives it up.
Yeah.
Gives too much credit.
Coleman getting right back to it, stretching that lead back out once again. Up over 4.2 million now. 42 and a half or so big blinds.
4.2.
I'm sorry?
4.2.
Yeah, that sounds right. A little over.
Action folds here to the chip leader Coleman in the small blind. He's got ace 10 of clubs.
That's
Pretty
it.
nice hand, especially four-handed.
275.
Ausmus is in the big blind. Here comes a raise. 275, and Ausmus finds the ace-8 of diamonds. Ausmus on, what, 18, 19 bigs here? After he posted the big blind ante, so maybe a jam?
Could definitely see that here.
I mean, Chidwick is shorter than him, but it's not like Chidwick is, you know, super low on chips. He's got 16.5 big blinds himself, so.
Big decision here for Ausmus.
All in.
All in.
He does move all in.
I call.
Pop.
Yeah, Coleman with the quick call. We're going to see a massive showdown here. Whoever wins this one is going to be our new chip leader. Ausmus at risk with ace-8 of diamonds. Coleman with ace-10 of clubs. Ahead and looking to
Think you're gonna lose
reduce
this
this field.
No. For some reason, I don't feel this confidence before.
No.
Wow. Donnie, one losing hand, and Coleman's confidence is gone.
Shot might be on the table.
They could chop it, yes, but
King, Jack, Jack.
looking
flush.
like Ausmus is going to need some help here.
I don't think I would sign up for that.
Ausmus, if he does find a way to win this hand, he would be the chip leader.
All right, here comes the flop. King 7, 4, 1 diamond. Ausmus looking for running straight, running diamonds, or an 8, of course. All of a sudden, Coleman looking a lot more comfortable. Turn card is the 10 of diamonds. Ausmus now with 9 outs.
If it was going to be a 10, Ausmus wanted it to be that one.
So the 8 no longer good, of course. But 9 outs to make a flush for Jeremy Ausmus. If he misses, he will be eliminated. And it's the Queen of Hearts on the river.
Again.
And that spells the end for Jeremy Ausmus as David Coleman is now up to 6.3 million chips. Coleman back into a commanding lead as Jeremy Ausmus departs the set of our live streaming room. Ausmus collects $40,000 for his efforts. And the final 3 are guaranteed $55,000. Chidwick the short stack now with 16 bigs. Coleman back to where he was about an hour ago.
$205.
205.
Aram Zobian here, King Jack of Hearts. There is a dead small blind on this hand. Zobian makes it 205.
10-7.
Gets it through, picks that one up.
Let us know in the chat if you think that Coleman can be stopped. That's basically the question we're all wondering right now.
What you got down
Is
there?
David Coleman going to lose at any point?
6.3.
Dr. Moffman picking up on some tells. Says Coleman has too many tells. He tosses a chip haphazardly when he has nothing but draws, but then raises too quickly when he pauses on his cards when he has something decent. Donnie, are we onto something here?
I don't pretend to look at live tells for these players. I mean, maybe they look at each other, of course, but I can't pretend to read them. To me, they're all pretty robotic, you know, and I say that as a compliment because They play very similar in all sorts of hands. Don't really give anything off overall.
It's a bit cocky to assume that you got a read on these high roller players.
I mean, maybe you do. I mean, I'm not saying you don't.
Oh no, for sure, but it is.
Yeah.
It is definitely a stance to take here as Coleman flops a flush with Jack 9 versus Zobian, who's whiffed.
All right, your hand.
135.
My hand? I don't know what that is.
Queen Jack of diamonds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Swapping out dealers here. Still three-handed.
We're 48 hands into the final table. Average stack, 36 big blinds, so plenty of room left to play. John G says, how is Chidwick literally at every final table? Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, he really has been for the past week and a half. it's been at every final table. It's unreal.
Stephen Chidwick.
I mean, the guy's amazing. I mean, also, in the 3 seasons, at least the 3 prior seasons of the PGT, the worst he's finished on the leaderboard is 8th.
That's so
8th
absurd.
the first season, 1st the second season, and then this most recent season he finished 3rd.
So absurd.
Just a perennial top 10. I mean, the guy puts in an insane amount of volume, and he just performs every single year. Last season, of course, Chidwick became the Poker Masters champion, donning that purple jacket when that series was all said and done. Then had a nice run to the final table of Super High Roller Bowl.
The one thing I'll say about Chidwick, too, and this is just me purely speculating, but to me it feels as though he treats every single event like the WSOP main event. He never takes a hand off. He never, gets complacent with the buy-in levels. He's playing a 5K right now. This guy plays
He's playing it like it's the Super High Roller Bowl. I mean, it's like
he's
just every decision he wants to make the absolute best, most optimal decision that he can. Nothing seems to, knock him one way or the other. I mean, there is, as far as I'm concerned, there is no one that's closer to a robot in poker than Stephen Chidwick. Like, if we need to nominate someone as a group to, play one of those bots, it needs to be Stephen Chidwick, right? Like, he's the guy.
100%. Yeah, if aliens ever come to this Earth and we have to...
I mean, Stephen Chidwick might be an alien. Like, let's be honest.
In the most positive sense of the word, yes. Very impressive how he does it year after year as we watch Zobian and Coleman play it out here on the flop. 9-8 versus 8-7. Gut shot here for Zobian is going to come along. Turn is an ace. In this limped pot, Donnie, can either player give the other credit for an ace, or is it a case of whoever bets might take this down?
I think Coleman can give Zobian credit for some aces. I think it's fine to limp a lot of aces from the small blind. And Zobian's going to probably attack that identity right there with a bet on the turn. And Zobian can wrap a lot of aces there, limping from the small blind. Kind of really no reason to raise unless you have like a really, really premium ace, just due to the stacks and where Stephen Chidwick is. If you're Zobian, you don't want to go crazy. Have Coleman just flat in position with a lot of hands, and then you're stuck playing out of position in a spot where the chip leader can put a lot of pressure on you. So I think that was good recognition there from Zobian.
Chidwick down to 13 big blinds, getting into that push-fold territory rather quickly. Poofsy says, where is Double Tiger? Donnie, has
Good question.
Has Artur Martirosyan left the building, so to say?
Pretty sure he was in this event yesterday.
Oh, well, there you go. Martirosyan, the Double Tiger
You had a
Double
3-1 too,
Tiger
right?
Man. Still in the mix here at the studio.
He's out there in event number 2 right now.
Nice, nice. I almost want to leave our booth just to check and make sure he's wearing the hat.
And the shades.
And the shades, yes. Maybe only the shades for the final table. Coleman here, 3-betting enough to put both his opponents all in, and Chidwick finds ace-queen of diamonds in the big blind. Stephen Chidwick with a real situation here and a chance to double up. He's going to make the call for his turn of life. Chidwick, ace-queen suited, well ahead of Coleman's ace-7.
Coleman's gotten lucky before. He has been running hot, and he's been well aware of it too, so.
You're not confident?
Yes. No, I can't lie.
Chidwick at risk here.
Here comes the flop. Ace, deuce, 5, 2 clubs. Clean for Chidwick. Needs to fade a 7. Coleman with a few neck stretches, knowing that this battle is far from over. Turn is the king of spades.
Take a job.
Some chop outs now.
I was just going to say, this is a good card for Coleman. A deuce or a 5 would now chop it. River card is the king, and now, of course, the queen plays. So Chidwick gets that much-needed double up. And Donnie, as far as for the excitement of this final table, this is our best-case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, Chidwick's right back in it now. Now virtually tied with Aram Zobian. Chidwick on 28, 29 big blinds here. Zobian just ahead with 31.5 big blinds. Just quickly touching on what Chidwick has done already this year. I know it's 2024, but it was the last season of the PGT. 4th in event number 2 at the Last Chance Series. Then he got 3rd in event number 5, and then he got 6th in event number 6. So boom, boom, boom. 3 final tables to start the year for Stephen Chidwick.
2.9 exactly.
For you?
You,
For me?
I think.
I take your word for it.
Chidwick coming off a year where he won
No, 2.9, you're right.
more than
what,
$9.8 million
Well, there's
in
5
tournaments.
shots somewhere.
Almost
Unless
became
you
the
got too much
first
change.
player with 3
No, it's
$10
you're
million
right. It should be
years
2.8.
in live tournament poker.
I think we're just counting down the years before Chidwick goes on one of those $20 million sprees like we've seen in the past from someone like a Justin Bonomo.
Of course. Coleman here on the button, king 10 off. Comes in with a raise, and Chidwick's found king 10 suited in the small blind.
2.85.
Base 2.85.
And that is just about an all-in shove. Zobian hasn't... Oh, that's why he hasn't done anything yet.
Wow. Aram Zobian.
I mean, this is a spot, huh?
Almost identical spot to the one Chidwick found himself in just one hand ago.
All in.
All in.
He moves all in, and Zobian now with ace-queen, having removed Coleman's king 10 from this play here, making him a huge favorite
I had that hand.
to send Chidwick to the rail.
lost
But
the
Donnie,
version of that.
whatever way this
Oh.
goes, someone's going to be
That's the
in a
same.
world
Are
of
you
hurt.
serious?
I did. I king 10 off.
Damn, bro.
Does that
Yeah,
mean?
this is
Did I
going to
say
be
that?
a massive swing
they're
here no
both
matter
red.
what happens. At first, Chidwick was probably feeling fine when he sees
Yeah,
the
they were
ace
both
queen.
red.
You know, it's not
I think
ace
so.
king,
I
something
know
like
one
that
was
where you're
red.
crushed.
I think
But
I
then
had
he
king
hears
diamond.
that
Well, if you
Coleman
had king
folded
10
king
off
10,
and
so
they
now
were
he
both
probably feels
red,
a little bit
then
worse.
We got a misdeal.
No. Yes. You're right. I had a black 10, red king. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I was thinking.
Zobian with the mason jar on the table. Don't spill that water. Jack, Jack 6 rolls off the deck. Chidwick now looking for a king or a 10, knowing that Coleman folded a king and a 10. Very hard for Chidwick to come back here. 3 of spades on the river. No backdoor draws to speak of. Chidwick, 6 outs or he'll be our 3rd place finisher. River card is the 9 of clubs, and that is it. One hand after doubling up. Stephen Chidwick now on the rail after running king 10 of hearts into the ace queen of Aram Zobian. An aggressive move did not pay off, and Zobian now heads up versus Coleman with the chip
how
lead.
much before that?
All right,
I had 3-4.
Chidwick
3-3.
takes home $55,000
Good game,
for
Steven.
his efforts. Final 2 guaranteed $77,000 and are playing for the $120,000 top prize. All right, chat, let's hear it. Who's going to take this one down? Is Zobian going to continue this
Now we
recent
play for the
streak?
trophy.
So you have 6.4. Is that what you're? Is that sound correct?
Let me just look. I'll look for you.
I mean, I should be able to know, but
2, 4, 5.5, 5.7, 5.8. No, 6.24.
Small bit.
What do you got?
Verifying the chip counts there.
Small.
Coleman a
4
slight
point-
underdog.
8.85.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 11 million in play.
Yeah.
I thought you
On
were
big
wrong.
line?
Okay. Yeah. Small bit.
$225.
Raise to 200.
Zobian starting this one off with a raise on the button. Coleman's got
10 seconds.
playable one here from the big queen jack. He is dominating Zobian's queen 10. Makes the call. More than $500,000 out there already on hand number 1 of heads up play. Let's go.
These guys not wasting any time. And we see an all
150.
diamond flop roll off the deck. Coleman flops a pair of jacks. Zobian with the double gutter.
Coleman makes the call here. Heads up play, of course, you know, all the hands kind of go up in value. Oftentimes, really don't see players fold any sort of pair when they connect on boards.
$570.
That's 570.
Zobian going to put the pressure on here. 570. Coleman gives it up.
Wow.
Gives Zobian credit there.
Huh?
I was gonna check. I changed my mind.
Nicely done by Zobian, who extends his chip lead here on the first hand of heads up play.
Jack 3 of clubs.
Pair of sixes for Coleman. Going to see him open up here. Donnie, we've seen a lot of heads-up matches over the past week and a half or so, and we've seen a tremendous
410.
amount of passive play.
Raise to 410.
And right now, Zobian kicking it up a notch with Queen Jack offsuit. It's just so inviting to just go see flops with the big blind ante being as big as it is.
Yeah, it is very inviting. Aram Zobian doesn't seem like he's about any of that, though. Raised the first hand, now he's raising the second hand, so he's trying to drive this action. Coleman does make the call in position. Let's see what this flop is. King 10 for all clubs. Coleman does have the 6 of clubs in his hands. No clubs for Zobian here.
$170.
170K is the bet. On the very small side here. A little bit less than 1/5 pot. Coleman gonna come along here. Again, he does have that 6 of clubs in his hand. 9 of clubs on the turn. Makes a flush for Coleman. That gives Aram Zobian a straight, but of course no clubs for him. So that straight is pretty much just a bluff catcher now. Zobian elects to check the turn here. Coleman checks behind. Deuce of spades on the river. As long as Coleman doesn't fold, he's going to be raking in this pot. Yeah, those asking about Stephen Chidwick just went out in 3rd place not too long ago. He got it all in with King 10 suited against Aram Zobian's Ace Queen and did not connect. That's why you see Zobian here taking the chip lead into heads-up play. Zobian then won the first hand of heads-up play. This is the second hand of heads-up play. Action is on Zobian with more than 1.2 out there in the middle. Don't forget to hit that like button over on the YouTube channel. Show us some love, please.
Straight. That's it.
Zobian announces a bet of
Probably make sure I have a club now.
$470K.
Before calling him.
Snapped
I
off
would
by
love it if you
Coleman.
didn't.
And Coleman's going to take that one. These two are as close can be. Only 5,000 chips is now between them. Zobian with the very, very, very slight lead. He's got 5,565,000. Coleman has 5,560,000. So cannot get any closer in chips in this heads-up match. Both these guys very deep for when you get to heads-up in the tournament. Both have 55.5 big blinds. We are approaching 300 likes on the YouTube video. Hit the like for us, please. Let's get up over that 300 likes button. Over on the PokerGO chat, Bad Boy Peter, Ace is up 646. I see you guys out there. Oh, I see where you went. To get the Mez Club bars. No, I'm good. Thank you, though. Limit pot here, pre-flop, 5 deuce deuce. Coleman checks, Zobian with 2 pair. Comes with a bet. 120K. Coleman makes the call. Up over $500,000 in there. Ace on the turn. That puts Coleman out in front. Better two pair for him now. He checks. Zobian checks behind. 4 on the river. Now giving Coleman a wheel straight. He's got that 3 in his hand. Didn't need the 4 on the river, but hey, why not make a little bit of a better hand? Coleman is first to act here. Coleman comes with 100K, and Zobian flicks it in, makes the call, but Coleman's going to take this one.
How many more levels do we have before break? Oh, how much time? What time? Sorry? 40?
40. Is it not 20 minutes heads up? How long is it heads up?
How long are the levels? 20, right?
Well, 20. Yeah, well, you wait till the end of the level.
So 30, right?
So 30. All right, thank you.
300.
Raise to 300. Call. Check.
Coleman here. Flopping very much the best of it. Top pair, very good kicker with his ace-queen. Coleman is in position. He did raise pre to 300K, and Zobian made the call.
10 seconds.
525.
That's 525.
525 is the bet, and that quickly gets it done.
Call. Option. Ten seconds. Raise to 500.
All the years playing online. Now we are face to face.
Mm-hmm. How much Big Blind Annie heads up have you played?
Probably like 4,000 hours. You?
Not much.
Not that much. You?
A fair amount.
Fair amount?
App games.
Oh, okay. Do you know, do I have to use this RFID still? Can I use this one? All right. Just gotta reach over.
10 seconds.
350.
Raise to 350.
Coleman raising it up with a 5 and a mystery card. The mystery cards are back. Haven't had too many of those, and we're heads up, and we're seeing some again. Zobian Ace-Queen offsuit.
1.4.
Making it 1.4 million, just wasting no time.
You shouldn't slow down, right?
No, you can switch your
Yeah.
Is it a new setup?
I mean, I could still do it here until.
You said new setup? New setup.
Very even match right now, 60 to 50 big blinds. Coleman in the lead. Chat thinks that Coleman's going to win. 56% of the votes went to him in the poll that I just put in the chat. By the way, if you're just tuning in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're live daily the next 5 days with coverage from the Triangle Studio here at the PokerGO PGT Kickoff. Absolutely massive, these streaming tables, Donnie. It's hard to really explain how big these tables are.
Oh yeah, I mean they're huge. You've played at one. I've played at one. I mean they are enormous. The rail sits high too, you know, like almost to the point where you feel the worst for the dealers. You know, they got to stretch out, try and reach all the chips, pull everyone's stuff in.
We're still drawing for hands at 5 minutes, right? At 2 minutes, we draw between two. Got it.
I'm sorry, 3 minutes, right?
Okay, either way. Doesn't matter.
Zobian Ace-7 offsuit is going to come in for a raise. To Biped in the chat says, is this table in Vegas? Yes, we are at the PokerGO Studio in Las Vegas. Short walk from the
1.1.
Aria Poker Room.
Raise to 1.1.
Here comes Coleman, Ace-Jack offsuit, making it 1.1 million. Stacks very similar.
Call.
Look at this. Zobian makes the call in position.
Here we go.
Massive pot developing here. Don't look away now. 2.3 million in the middle. Queen 10-3 on the flop. Coleman's Ace-Jack still best. Also has the Ace of Clubs to go along with it. If you're Coleman here, Donnie, with this much
1.3.
already in the middle, you're going to have to continue, right?
Yes. And he does. Quick
I
fold.
need like 4, right? I
Zobian.
shouldn't have to ask, but yeah, 4. 4. Save me the work. Thanks.
Minus 5,000.
Dude, how you gonna lie to me like that? Tell me a 4. That's fucked up.
These guys have tons of history playing online versus each other, so clearly a lot more going on than what meets the eye here. Heads up tournament play, always such a waiting game. Very curious to see if we're going to get some big pots here. Unless, of course, the waiting will have to be for when the big hands clash.
All in.
All in.
Oh, wow. Ace-4, I guess, big enough a hand for Zobian. Moves all in. Coleman lets go of the Jack-5. Pretty big shove there with Ace-4, Donnie.
Yeah, but, you know, it's somewhat awkward to raise, and then your opponent's just going to defend so much. That Ace-4 does have some blocker value, right? You're blocking a lot of good aces from your opponent, so... I mean, if you get called, you get called. What are you going to do? But it's probably fine to shove there. Probably up to 40 bigs. Maybe up to 50.
Option. Check. Check.
7-3 and 9-8 involved here.
Check, check.
Limit pot, as I'm sure we'll see many of during this heads-up play. It is just, the price is just too good to ever fold, which keeps these players in every hand.
I will say they have been playing a little bit more aggressively heads up than we have seen a lot of times.
That's one.
I got to drop my hand.
2.
After 2 hands, I got to raise off the 5 page.
Okay.
Drawing for hands, of course, means that the blinds are about to go up. Don't think we have a break upcoming. We are going to just keep on rolling, so we'll hopefully see this through without having to need another break. Ace-9 suited for Coleman, very much a premium hand during heads-up play. 3 deuce of hearts. I guess you could see a
You want
flop
to stare
with.
down your heads up?
I stare down when there's no flop to stare down.
Quick little double check there on the cards from Coleman.
Check.
Oh, look at this. Deuce, deuce, 7. Trips for Zobian. Coleman with backdoor diamonds, from my perspective, likely to continue betting here.
That's 2.
200K from Coleman.
Ace of 5.
Look at this. Raise right away from Zobian. Donnie, is this the type of flop where you can bluff on from Zobian's perspective? Is Coleman going to want to continue here with ace high?
Yeah, I think Coleman will want to continue with ace high. I mean, it's interesting that Coleman has a lot of, or sorry, Coleman has ace-9 of diamonds here, because some of these hands that check raise here are like, you know, 8-9 of diamonds, 9-6 of diamonds, stuff like that, like, you know, backdoor flush draws that are wrapped around that 7.
I mean,
this is going to be a fun card here. Zobian should continue here with his trips. Coleman picks up, you know, some equity with that backdoor flush draw. There's also going to be some time where, you know, maybe Zobian's check raising, I don't know, just like an 8-9. Like I said, obviously it's not the 8-9 of diamonds, but maybe it's the 8-9 of spades, the 8-9 of clubs. Yeah, he didn't turn the backdoor flush draw, but he turned open-ended. He could also maybe have a 4-5 in there.
1.15.
1.15.
wow. Comes out swinging here. 1.15 from Zobian. Coleman still looking at that nut flush draw. Very curious to see how he'll approach this. Donnie, do we have room to continue here with ace-9 of diamonds? Is this a situation where some of the times you might end up shoving? Like, it's a very fascinating board texture.
Wouldn't be surprised to see either shove or call here from Coleman.
Call.
Call.
Does make the call. Absolutely massive pot developing here during heads-up play.
I mean, depending on what this river is, I don't think I would be surprised to see Coleman call an all-in, you know, depending on how this shakes out.
River is the 6 of spades. Coleman whiffs, but he is left with 2 pair with the ace kicker. Zobian with a full house. Only 2.4 million left for him. Seems like there's only one move left here, Donnie.
All in.
He does find that same exact move that I was thinking of.
Count.
Oh yeah, and like you said, Donnie, not going to be an easy decision here.
I mean, if Zobian did come with, you know, something like an 8-9 here,
2.4.
and it's just
2.44.
bluffing this off, then you know, Coleman's going to call. The problem is Coleman has a 9, right? He's got the 9 of diamonds, so very tricky spot. And as referenced earlier, it sounded like these two have a lot of experience from the online realm playing against each other, so they're probably very familiar with each other's games.
10 seconds.
Coleman has saved up a lot of those time bank chips, and he's going to use it here in a spot that could be very decisive. Even if Coleman folds, Zobian is going to take the chip lead, 6.5 million. If Coleman calls, of course, it's a whole different ballgame. He's going to be left with around 2.1 million chips.
2, 4, 4, 5.
Donnie, what sort of hands can Zobian really have here that Coleman beats?
I mean, 8-9 of clubs, 8-9 of spades, maybe 8-5. You could even throw in 8-5 of diamonds into there. Maybe he's got some 4-5 in his hand. Maybe he's got stuff like, you know, I don't know if he's just going crazy with like a Jack-10 type of hand. I don't think he's going to go crazy with that.
This hand was raised to 350 before the flop. Zobian called in big blind and then check raised the flop.
Coleman deep in the tank here. Been thinking for just over 2 minutes. I feel like the longer he thinks, the more he's going to be inclined to call, just and showing that he doesn't want to give this one up. You know, is Aram Zobian going to be taking this line with a 7? Probably not.
Probably also asking himself, wouldn't Zobian check behind a lot of hands here too on the river if he had missed?
Well, Zobian's first act.
Oh, sorry. He took the betting lead. You're right.
I mean, this is certainly well within the realm of possibilities for Zobian to do this with the deuces, of course. He can have some 6s. He can have 5, 6, 4, 6, stuff like that. You know, so this can very much be a value line as well, which obviously plays into Coleman's thinking and puts him in a very tricky spot because Coleman's just kind of stuck there where he's likely beating all the bluffs and he's just getting crushed by all the value. It's just, you know, it's horrible. He does correctly find the fold there. Well done by him. Good discipline. A little smile there from Zobian.
You
So
see?
he wants to show, but he doesn't want to show it.
See
All right,
the 9 of
Zobian
diamonds?
back on top.
6.
Oh, you're
4 more.
6. Holy poop.
Still got plenty.
That was more than I thought. Damn.
You have king, queen, heart?
Is the button red?
Close.
Yeah.
Muhammad in the chat says, good night, guys. I had fun. Well, thank you for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you're always
Wasn't it just a
alerted
button?
of whenever we go live next.
Wait, yeah, sorry. This isn't it still.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah, you're right. I totally told her it was right. No.
I feel like I didn't know the button was a long
Can't
time
play
ago.
deuce 3 from the button.
You had it?
Sorry, David. I don't remember.
That's the right answer always, Donnie. That's always the right answer. I never remember my cards. King 10 off here for Zobian.
Wait, are we up? Last hand? Okay.
This is the last hand of the level, so that means the blinds will go up.
10 seconds.
340.
Raise 340.
King 10 of club?
No. Offsuit. Did you? You had king 10 on when you had.
What's that?
You had king 10 when you had king 10 too. Yeah, you shouldn't say that. I mean, if anyone's gonna not care, it's him, probably, right?
I don't know what people. I don't care about any of that sort of stuff, so I don't know what other people care about. But yeah.
Okay, I think get rid of the black ace.
Well, if you're doing it, like, never say it to a guy who plays for fun. Right?
Yeah, of course.
He's a fun player
Yeah, for sure.
in a different way.
A little back and forth there on the hand that sent Chidwick to the rail. Coleman also had King 10 there. And Donnie, is it?
He
is
immediately said, he
Right.
said I had King 10 too.
Is it proper etiquette to say that
five on
and
it.
sort of deal that blow to your opponent?
I think Aram Zobian kind of correctly explained it there, where among these players, I think it's probably fine to say, you know, the large majority of them probably don't care one way or the other. But, you know, if you're playing against a more recreational player, an amateur, somebody, you know, you want to, like, kind of keep coming back, you don't want to really piss them off a little too much, so maybe you don't say it.
You're dead.
I never know how this shit works.
Why do people get confused? I
It's
don't
the
get-
highest card. Like, I get 4 chances to get an 8.
In this scenario, yes, it's the highest card.
It's not like mine combined together to beat your king.
What are we at? 60 or 75?
Oh, 150. Oh, wow. No 125 level. All right.
Yeah, we got rid of that one.
Finish him.
As always, Donnie, a tradition at this point.
You ever
when
play Overwatch?
The 75K,
I used the
150K level
Zenyatta quote on you.
rolls around.
I used the
Players are
Zenyatta
ready to
quote
end
on
it.
you.
Is that what that's from? I've heard that.
Yeah, overconfidence is a flimsy shield.
That's your game, Overwatch?
It used to be.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Before I broke that addiction.
That second one was
That was-
bad, right? That's what everyone says.
I played it a little bit. It's just not a good use of time.
Of course.
Okay.
Like, I literally threw my Xbox into the garbage. People were like, why wouldn't you give that to a kid? I'm like, why? So I can ruin that kid's life?
That's strong. Ruin their life because of Xbox?
I mean, yeah, it's a strong word, but
Okay.
a lot of time spent.
After a limp and 2 checks, we've already made our way to the turn. Zobian hitting a straight when that 8 popped up.
That's 175.
Zobian here betting 175. Action on Coleman, who is on the lower end of the straight here, and that could cost him. Six of clubs on the river. Zobian with the better straight. If you're Zobian here, Donnie, are you going to go small, thinking that Coleman's range is not going to be that strong?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like terribly small. I mean, I think you want to try and get some value here. Probably 300 to 500 in that range somewhere. You go smaller than that, of course, 225.
Jack.
Look at this. Coleman calls 225. Zobian immediately announces Jack, and that, of course, signaling that Coleman's straight is no good here. And Aram Zobian extends his chip lead now up to 7.2 million.
Whoa, very sloppy. Too slow.
Nice one here for Aram Zobian. King, queen of clubs.
With the blinds now at 75K, 150. Coleman at 25 bigs, Zobian at 48. Avoiding an all-in. Definitely not going to be easy in this level.
The only diamond here belonging to Coleman as he checks over to Zobian, who comes with 175. Nice and small. Call from Coleman. He drills that turn. 7 of spades. Coleman checks again.
Question now is Zobian going to get cute here on the river if Coleman decides to check to him?
could. I mean, that
So-
flop bet being so small is a little cutesy in itself.
Look at Zobian with the snap check back there.
While like looking away
Yeah,
from the
like,
table, like,
he's like, this hand is over.
you got it, sir. You got it.
I can't be bothered anymore.
I think he reached for some sunglasses. Is he going to be putting the shades on over here?
Wow. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Look at that.
Wow. He reminds me of a famous actor now.
I mean, those are very GQ-esque shades.
Very
I mean,
GQ, yeah.
he's looking very good, sir.
What actor does he look like? Let me know in the chat. What's that? I mean, I'm so bad with names. Jack 7 off here for Coleman.
10 seconds.
As he said,
450.
only stares down when there's no flop out there. Makes it 450. Zobian makes the call.
Check.
Jack 6-3. Coleman ends up with top pair immediately again. Donnie, it feels as though ever since Zobian won that big pot, Coleman is slowly chipping away at it and working his way back to perhaps even stacks. Both players care a lot about this win, the points, the payout. It's very obvious that no deal has been made.
Yeah, I mean, and these two aren't backing down from playing big pots. They're certainly getting in there and mixing it up.
Sunglasses, huh? It's getting real.
Once in a while.
You're shook.
I'm shook.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm the chip leader.
I love it.
I mean, Aram Zobian looks like the king of some faraway land with this current look. Maybe we should be calling him the Sheik or something. He's got the... What's it called on his head? Like a... I don't even know.
I mean, he looks great.
I love that.
The shades add a brilliant touch to
Yeah,
this.
but you know what? Okay, you know what he's missing? The next time we'll focus on Zobian, we'll further analyze this. He's missing one crucial piece to his outfit. Meanwhile, we're going to see a flop again. King 9 versus Queen 4. He does have a nice necklace on, too.
Check.
Both players flop a pair here. Zobian's king is best.
He's missing a watch.
Yeah, but if he is throwing away an Xbox like he did earlier, I don't think he's going to be owning a watch. I mean, just my read.
So do you think like he doesn't want the time to control his life?
I think he's just he really only keeps possessions that he absolutely needs, I feel like. Listen, I can relate. I gave up playing video games because I thought I played video games a lot when I was like in high school and my first couple years of college, and I was home one summer playing online, SOCOM, U.S. Navy SEALs, with my friends, and I had my video game chair like close to my TV right in front of me, you know, and I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning, having fallen asleep in my chair. I had died in the match that we were in.
Yeah.
And my teammates were still playing, and like we kept having new matches, and I kept just respawning and like instantly dying because I wasn't moving, and they were yelling at me on my headset, and I woke up to them yelling at me in my headset like 4 games later, and I had passed out in my chair because I was so tired because we've been playing for so long. And at that point, I said, you know what? Maybe I should give up the video games. Okay, maybe this is consuming my life a little bit too much.
That's hilarious.
True story.
Zobian betting 1.1 million here after hitting a king. Interesting situation for Coleman, who has second pair. But yeah, instead of video games, Donnie, you're now just doom scrolling Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Oh yeah. But then I found poker and online poker, and That's kind of like a video game.
It's way better for you.
Yeah.
All right, Coleman makes the call. We're going to see the river card. Crucial river card incoming. Zobian about to extend this chip lead by a sizable margin after Coleman was gaining some ground here. Coleman looking for a 4 or a queen. It's not there. And Zobian with the check mark.
Zobian probably feels pretty good about that 9. Of course, you know, Jack 10 does get there, but
Now the question, Donnie, what can Zobian realistically get away with here, bet sizing wise?
1.5-ish? I mean, having bet flop turn and now likely betting river, I think it's probably going to be hard for Coleman to find a call with just a queen. I mean, is Aram Zobian really just going to go 3 streets? I know he didn't raise pre-flop, but bet 3 streets in position with worse. He's going for all of it.
Wow.
So this is a little bit of an overbet here.
Coleman put into the blender, as the kids like to say. Aram Zobian going for it all.
Coleman put to the test once again. I mean, this happened not too long ago with when he had the ace 9 of diamonds, the ace high on the river. Zobian had it there too. Zobian has it here.
1.
Shorter time in the tank for Coleman, but ultimately does give it up.
Aram Zobian extends his chip lead yet again. But a nice fold from Coleman, who gets away from the queen, continues to fight. 2-1 chip lead,
2?
roughly,
Can I get a
for
break?
Aram Zobian right now. Little update from event number 2. 53 total entries right now. Among some of the bigger stack, Mr. Double Tiger.
6 time banks.
Artur Martirosyan third in chips right now. Some other names in the mix there. Jared Blesnik. A surprise appearance there. Justin Zaki, Maria Ho, Dylan Wiseman, Joao Simão from Brazil. Masashi Oya, #1 on Japan's all-time money list. Eric Seidel in the hunt. Justin Bonomo back in the mix. Jeremy Ausmus, after departing from this final table, jumped into event number 2. So if you want to follow along with coverage of that event, check out pgt.com and go to our live reporting. That final table streaming tomorrow, so you can get a sense for what tomorrow's final table is going to be like.
Check. Check.
6-8 Jack. Again, top pair for Zobian.
Check, 9 of spades on the turn. Now flush draw for Zobian as well as that top pair. So he's looking pretty nice here. Bet from Zobian, quick fold from Coleman, and we are on to the next hand.
Jim Adams says playing too tight for heads up, in my opinion. I
Seven,
think we've
seven,
seen,
seven.
What? These guys are swinging.
Yeah.
You should watch some of the other heads-up matches. Limp, check, 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 check. I mean, these guys are out there. You know, there's million chip pots every other hand.
Yeah, we've seen our fair share of post-flop battles between these two. Feels as though the familiarity with each other's games is making this match even more interesting. Corey says, Zobian looks like he's just walking through the desert. Yeah, I agree. He probably rode in on his horse, too. Or maybe a camel. Look at this. Coleman shoves, gets one through.
One hand and goes going for it.
All right.
Looks like we're approaching the end of this level. And as much as we enjoy time travel, unfortunately, we are out of time to travel, so we're going to have to go on a little bit of a break.
What? Come on.
It has always ended in the 75K, 150K level.
It has. These faster structures have not gone past this level. But these guys, I feel like, are... I mean, I don't think they're ready to go anywhere.
No, and we've had four... I think we've had 4 lead changes back and forth, so definitely not a passive match by any stretch. Coleman here, 7 deuce suited. Even a hand like that is worthy of a limp. And he comes along here hoping to see a cheap flop here, but Zobian finds ace-queen offsuit.
675.
675 is the raise. Probably too rich for Coleman, holding just 7 deuce. There it is, flicks him into the muck. And I think the players are going on a short little 10-minute break right now. Yeah, there it is. All right, we get in the wide-angle shot here. That means we are going on a 10-minute break. Get a fresh beverage, maybe some snacks. Maybe 10 minutes is just enough to heat up something in the microwave. Donnie and I will be out to get a snack. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with the conclusion of this event as we are going into new territory. See you in a few.
About 40% of the chips in play, so things haven't been going his way in these most recent hands, but you know, it's kind of just the ups and downs of tournament poker. Smilkovic certainly not out of it in the slightest. But Daniel here.
Oh my God.
Ace King on the button.
What more can you wish for in tournament play than to pick up a monster right after having taken the lead here during the heads-up portion of the tournament? And Jack 10 rolls off the deck.
And Negreanu limped in on the button pre-flop. Smilkovic checked the Jack deuce.
Wow. Smilkovic smashes this flop. Perhaps Negreanu saving grace here that he only has a gut shot at this point.
And Negreanu betting here, but likely going to call a check raise. Got enough of a hand here to be able to continue with this one. His hand could also just be good, right? You know, there are some hands that Smilkovic might just be betting. Maybe Daniel thinks there's a chance that, you know, the ace or the king are good as well.
A queen, of course, would seal it here for Negreanu. There's still, of course, the outside chance that Smilkovic could have hit a full house in that case, but at this point of the hand, a queen is the only card that can save Negreanu.
See what sort of sizing Smilkovic wants to come with here. Going a little bit larger here. Looks like 1.3.
Does Negreanu still think that his hand can be strong here?
Yeah, I mean, there are some hands in Smilkovic's range where he's going to check raise that include, you know, backdoor clubs that can turn some additional equity, right?
Negreanu seriously considering something here, facing a bet of 1.3 million. Not too long ago, Negreanu was down to just a few big blinds. Now all of a sudden, contemplating playing an enormous pot here. And we can see that he only has 4 outs against the trips of his opponent. Oh, wow, he moves all in.
Jack, you win, probably.
Yep. Smilkovic snaps it off.
Need a queen.
And Daniel Negreanu looking for a queen and a queen only to win this one. If the queen doesn't come, Smilkovic will have a massive chip lead. And all of a sudden, the roles will reverse. 4 outs for Kit Poker to seal the deal here. Only 9% chance, though. Massive long shot for Negreanu to take this one down. River card. Is a queen!
Oh, there it
I'm gonna
is!
win this one. I just felt it. Lucky year. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. I don't know what I'm doing on the turn. He said, fuck it. If you got a jack, take my money. Yeah. I win. Cool. Nice. So first time I won the first tournament of the year in my life. It's cool. Fun. Okay, what now? Give me some money.
All right.
Wow, Daniel Negreanu closes it out in style, if you want to call it that. Binks the queen on the river. What an absolutely epic way to close this thing out. What an awesome final table this was. My name is Remko Rinkema. Donnie Peters alongside me. We'll be back with more action tomorrow from the PGT Last Chance here at the PokerGO studio in Las Vegas. What an awesome night it has been. Thank you all so much for watching. Congrats to Daniel Negreanu. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
1.95.
I'm working on.
Di Stefano and Colapi virtually tied for the chip lead. 33 big blinds apiece. The action is not very deep at this point, but still some room to maneuver.
My friend.
Action on Ren Lin, who has his mind made up.
All in. No
as
snap
visible
for
by...
peas.
Oh my
shit.
God.
GG.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
The pre-run out handshake is.
Wow, he's doing all the tricks in the book.
See you next year. Go home. If I lose that hand, I retire.
Ren Lin.
Oh.
Just stumbles
7-7? Wow.
into the goods here.
What the flop?
Fucking hell.
Terrible flop. Super power 7!
7 against the 2.
How can you not root for this man? Ren Lin looking for a king, a 7, or any kind of combination that can help him out of this
Adios.
predicament.
Adios, amigo.
The flop, not very kind to Ren Lin. He's down to running kings or running 7s to stay in this tournament. King on the turn.
What a lucky 7, River. Wow. Free side.
King or a 7 keeps him alive. 5 outs once. Can Ren Lin stay in the tournament and beat pocket aces?
Wow.
Ace on the river. A set for Jim Colapi. Ren Lin eliminated in 4th place. Handshakes all around here. As Ren Lin, I guess, just ordered 6 bottles of water.
Yeah, too much gamble.
Of course. But anything can happen.
120.
Wiseman staying hot here. Ace-king on the button. Ren Lin gonna think about this one?
Some seconds.
You want to gamble, sir?
I was gonna,
no gamble.
even if you don't give your speaking of gamble, even if you don't give your opponent a ton of credit, Queen Jack off maybe still a bit too light there.
Yeah.
Masashi Oya here with 7s in the big blinds. 1.1 million in front of him, but also the headache of some ICM considerations.
All in.
Wait, oh, he did announce all in.
Call
Oh,
it is.
here we go. Quick call from Joey Weissman.
Masashi Oya's tournament life on the line with pocket sevens. Earlier, it was the pocket sevens of Dylan Di Stefano that put a serious dent into the stack of the Japanese pro. Back then, Oya held sixes, could not find a six. Now, can his sevens hold up to vault him back into contention in this tournament? Joey Weissman looking for an ace or a king to send Oya to the rail. Big showdown coming up here. Let's see the flop. Wow! Queen, 10, Jack. They call that Broadway. Joey Weissman flops the goods.
So far.
Diamonds.
Backdoor diamonds,
like so many
backdoor
turns.
chop, maybe?
Like
I don't
even a
know.
king.
Backdoor full house.
It's all still possible. Let's see the turn.
Okay, that's
Oh, yeah,
The three of
GG.
hearts, that'll seal it.
I've been playing alternate all
Masashi
week.
Oya eliminated in 6th place.
No, I'm saying like I've seen.
Because I played WPT.
Oh, right.
You're expanding.
Negreanu going to limp call here on the button with the queen 8 off. Smilkovic has the 4 deuce off. Off to a flop we go, more than $1 million in there. King 9 4, 2 hearts. Smilkovic checking his bottom pair. Negreanu checks back. Queen on the turn. That puts Daniel Negreanu back out in front. He's got the better pair of queens.
Yeah.
Another check here from Smilkovic. Another check back from Negreanu. King pairs the board on the river. Negreanu's hand is best as long as he doesn't fold here. Sizable 7-figure pot out there for the taking.
Yeah.
Is Negreanu going to go for some value here? Looks like he is.
That's 450.
450 is the bet. Just about 40% pot here from Daniel. Smilkovic is going to pay it off. And here we go, Daniel.
Welcome back to the 2024 PGT Kickoff. My name is Remko Rinkema, Donnie Peters alongside me. You can see the cards being shuffled in the reflection. The heads-up match between Aram Zobian and David Coleman is about to continue. For the first time, Donnie, in the history of the structure of these events, we are playing the 100K, 200K level.
We are. Let's go. I have a feeling it might end in this level. I mean, just because we haven't made it here. It's always ended, whether it was last chance, now here, first time pushing past the 150K big blind level. So
Daniel Garcia asking in the chat, is this a live stream? Yes, you are back to live. We were just showing some highlights from previous events. Right now, we are live. Aram Zobian, ace-7 offsuit in on the button. Moves all in.
This
And
hand?
wow, Coleman calls right away, and we have a big all-in clash on our hands on the first hand in the new level.
Quickly. Game, dude.
It escalated indeed.
Good game, dude. 7 of clubs.
Zobian.
Feeling it.
Yeah, some foresight here.
It really
prepays.
got out of hand fast.
I love that movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
I rewatched Goldmember the other night. Oh, such a good one.
Goldmember.
Austin Powers.
Yeah.
No? Never seen?
I have like bits and I haven't seen it like start to finish.
I love those
Long-
stupid, funny movies.
Long time ago. Yeah, so you love Will Ferrell, man.
All right. Zobian looking to close this thing out. If
Don't
he can
mind
find the
that.
7, Jack 10-3 is not going to do it. Coleman
Looks like we
trying to
shot a
warm
lot,
up his
but your
hands,
heart
but
just gets ripped out.
probably feel warm and fuzzy on the inside if his ace-8 manages to hold up here. Turn card. The 6 of spades. Coleman 3 outs away from taking the chip lead back from Aram Zobian. River card is the king of diamonds. And Aram Zobian takes a big hit to his stack.
Yeah,
as
flip-flop here.
Yeah, flip-flop. David Coleman up to 7 million now. Zobian now the short stack with 20 bigs. Looks like the players came to gamble here in the new level, but of course, Donnie, these types of hands with how deep they are, you can't really avoid that.
No. Unavoidable collision there. Both of them with a medium ace. Money just goes in. There's only 55 big blinds on the table, so would expect that, you know, this match plays relatively quickly. These two have already shown from heads-up play that, you know, they've been willing to play big pots and throw some haymakers.
Look at this, Coleman reaching far to get all these chips here. And he will now look to apply the pressure on Zobian, having room to gamble. Zobian decided to remove the glasses here. I'm not sure if that's part of his strategy or he just forgot to put them back on. Either way, if you are enjoying our coverage, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel. We're just out here to have some fun with it. We got 4 more days of live streaming after this one of our kickoff event, and then, Donnie, almost immediately, probably with like a week off, rolling into the PokerGO Cup, and before you start speaking here, Coleman finds aces.
Trappy, trappy.
Check.
I can think of a flop, Donnie. Ace 3-4, maybe? That's not it.
There's a 4.
That's not what I wanted. King 10-4 on the flop here. Coleman trying to trick Zobian perhaps into doing something crazy. Unfortunately, does not really have the hand for it.
200.
A lot of information there. Actually, kind of was.
What? You actually what?
I said, like, I was joking that it was a lot of information. But
Yeah.
Sort of was. Not bad.
If you're with us in the chat, let us know who you think is going to win this one. Zobian, of course, one double up away from regaining that lead he had before the break, so still anyone's game. No one really in major trouble here. The blinds and antes are big, though, so could see large swings. King 10 off for Coleman.
On.
Perhaps looking to play a bigger pot, and he moves all in. Zobian flashes the 8 and tosses him into the box.
Another limp here on the button from Coleman. This time he's got the 5-3 of spades. Zobian just checks the Jack-6 off. Eight-3 deuce, 2 clubs. Betting a take there from Coleman. He's now up over 8 million. Coleman has 40 big blinds, which, with only 55 big blinds in play, that's quite the powerful position here.
Do you look?
No.
Donnie, what's the worst hand that we can expect Zobian to start shoving with here?
Call.
I don't know. Jack 10s, 10-9 suited, something like that.
10 seconds. Check.
Another limped pot here going to the flop. 7-7-5.
Check. Check.
Action goes check, check, and Coleman picks up a pair of 8s on the turn here.
$750.
That's 750. That should get it done here. Zobian, of course, on the short stack, looking for favorable spots to get his money in, that not being one of them. Donnie, do those NFL playoffs start tomorrow or Sunday?
Tomorrow. Super wild card weekend.
What do we? Who do we got tomorrow?
Good question.
All right, I say the game. You say who wins. Browns, Texans.
Wow, that's close. I could see either one. I'll go Browns.
Dolphins, Chiefs.
Chiefs by a country mile. Unless the NFL does something crazy. They've been talking about moving the game.
Because of the weather?
That's
on.
That's advantage Chiefs. I mean, that's where they play. Too bad. Deal with it.
All right, Coleman moves all in. Puts pressure on Zobian with Queen-8 offsuit. Only 14 bigs. 14 bigs, Donnie. That's getting closer and closer to perhaps warranting a call. I'm a bit more of a conservative player myself, so this would have ended up in the muck. Zobian using a time bank chip here. Donnie, if you're Zobian here, having invested the big blind and the big ante, are you considering a call here for the additional 12 bigs you have behind?
I mean, it's close. It's very close.
Oh,
there it is.
He makes the call. Worst case scenario for Aram Zobian. Hoping for some live cards, and all of a sudden he is dominated. Queen-9 versus Queen-8.
I'm sorry?
You like the
Yeah, that's running hot for sure.
Any other cards? Ace-King, King-Jack.
Yeah, literally anything else you just want to be live.
This one's going to hurt.
For who?
Yeah.
Zobian sticking with the confidence here.
Let's put a 9 out there.
Coleman looking to end it. If his queen 9 holds up, he will be our champion. Reminder here, final two players guaranteed $77,000. The winner gets $120K. Is that payout going to Coleman? Well, the flop makes it so that we are one step closer to having a decisive result at this final table. Zobian looking for an 8 and an 8 only. Backdoor clubs still alive. Ten of clubs would be a fun card on the turn. Turn card is the 10 of hearts. Now some chop outs. And all of a sudden, Zobian looking for a 9 instead of an 8. One card to come. Can Zobian survive?
King of spades.
River card is the 7 of diamonds, and
Good
that'll
brother.
do it.
Good game.
David
Congrats.
Coleman
Appreciate it.
takes down event 1 of the PGT kickoff,
Yeah, it was a
and
lot
with
of fun.
that, he becomes our first leader on the standings. A little fist bump from Coleman, who has been on an absolute heater
2 wins in
as
a
of
week.
late.
Let's go.
2 in a week,
Let's
exactly
go.
right.
The chops. You're running. You're running too high.
Hoist the imaginary trophy.
Coleman collects $120,000 for his efforts. Zobian $77,000, and I can only imagine these two gentlemen hopping straight into event number 2, which is ongoing right now,
Thank you.
just across the hallway. PGT kickoff continues tomorrow here on YouTube as well. Don't forget to follow the live reporting on PGT.com right now. Tomorrow, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time, we will have more action from Las Vegas. My name is Remko Rinkema. Donnie Peters was alongside me. Thank you all so much for watching. And as the night falls on Las Vegas, we will hope to see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.